A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
R5 foreign service, starting mileage 8531. 8531. Detectives Perkins and Southwick, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. on the night watch.
954, 6:04 p.m. starting night watch.
This is Don Reed. I'm a police recorder. You're riding in a detective unit reporting in service on the night watch. As you go along with us tonight, remember, this is it. This is real. This is what happens on the night watch.
Night Watch, the actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors, there is no script. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. Night Watch is presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California. W.N. Hildebrand, Chief. We switch you now to Car 5-4 on patrol and to police recorder Don Reed.
We've been patrolling now for a little over 3 hours. Things are pretty much routine. A few moments ago, we took a stolen car report, but at the present time, we're cruising west on
4 at Venice and Elma Drive. That's Venice and Elma Drive, a traffic accident. Advise of an ambulance is needed. Your call is code 3. Car 5-2, this is 5-4, this is 5-4, 10-4.
We were headed west on Venice Boulevard when we received this call. As soon as we found this curve up ahead, we should be at the location. Pull that out, making a turn. One more intersection to go. There goes our siren for the intersection. In fact, there it is, directly ahead. Appears to be just one car involved. At least I don't see any others. That one is upside down and resting on its roof. Doors flung open. Out on the street now. Officers Ellis and Edwards in car 5-2 are already checking out the smashed vehicle. Strong smell of gasoline in the air. Apparently just one person involved.
Driving the car?
Sergeant Perkins is checking out the victim.
I was coming down the street, and somebody's coming against me, and I turned to avoid the collision, and that's what happened.
Came over here. Did you skid over here or what? Lose control of the car?
Well, I can't really tell you what happened. The car lost balance.
Car lost its balance.
Yeah.
Are you injured at all?
Pardon?
Did you get hurt at all? Are you injured?
No, sir, I'm not.
Been drinking tonight?
Yes, sir, I have.
How much you been drinking?
I had a couple of beers.
Had more than a couple, haven't you?
That's all.
Just 2?
Yes, sir.
How long ago?
Oh, about 2 hours ago.
Well, you're very fortunate to get out of this accident without being killed.
Well, my car's out of balance. The guy that I bought it off of, we're going to have it fixed up tomorrow, see? The wheels are out of balance.
Well, your car's out of balance now, that's for sure. Take a good look at that.
Just stepping back for a moment. The officers are involved in considerable double talk with the driver of the car right now. But in the interest of getting the facts, they're going along with it. At least for the moment, anyway. And then again, there is the possibility the officers may be subpoenaed into court to testify regarding the accident, and the victim is entitled to have his version presented. And speaking of him, the subject in this case is waving his arms right now and gesturing wildly, trying to explain to the officers, who, by the way, are from time to time doing a little ducking. So having had a little experience in the art of self-defense myself, let's move right back on in.
Well, you're very fortunate that you weren't hurt and somebody else wasn't hurt. That's the main thing.
Who was hurt?
Actually, you were fortunate that nobody else was hurt.
No, I avoided the other car. I had that fool like cut out of the way. And I'm over here upside down like I feel like I don't even know where I'm at.
Now, if you hadn't been drinking so much, you probably wouldn't even come close to an accident.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm
That
not
guy was on the wrong side of the street and he was coming at me.
Well, it seems
What am I going to do?
to me that you ended up on the wrong side of the street.
What was I going to do?
What side did
I
he
had
pass
to
you?
cut out of him.
Did he pass you on your left or your right side?
He was coming at me straight ahead. I had to use my own judgment. Cut right or cut left.
Okay, look. You've told me
Yeah,
three...
cut
Now,
left.
wait a minute. You've told me 3 times he was coming straight at you. Did he pass you?
No, he was coming straight at me.
Well, he had to pass you, or did you just stop and watch you roll over?
No.
Well, did he
cut
pass
straight
you?
at me.
Did he
cut
pass
straight
you?
at me.
Well, did he hit you?
No.
Then what happened to him? Did he go up the opposite direction and pass
I
you?
don't know what happened. After I cut out, you might have gone wherever you wanted to.
You're so drunk now, you don't know what happened.
Look, you want a conviction or something?
What do you mean, a conviction or something?
I want to go home. If you want a conviction or something like that, you see the way my car's coming. Now you're trying to tell me I'm going this way. I'm not. My car's coming this way.
All we go is on the physical evidence that shows.
Look, tell me so I can hear you.
I just said all we go on is the physical evidence.
All right, then what's the physical evidence see?
Right there. Look at
You're
you.
always coming this way?
You got a brush knocked down, and you got skid marks right by the curb.
Okay, then how did my car get like it is?
I don't know. I
It
didn't
went
see it.
over endways.
Oh, come on, cat. You're beginning to sound like Frankie Alberts now. I'll go to jail and I'll rot in jail. But I go that way.
I have a
That's where I live.
You may live there, but I have a
I
feeling
don't
that you're
care.
going
I
the
don't
other way
care. I don't
because
care. I
jail
don't want
is
no
that
sympathy.
way.
I don't want no sympathy.
Well, that just about winds things up here. So let's make our way on back to the car here. You know, Sergeant, I couldn't help but be amused at that fellow back there. I know it isn't very funny.
Don, remember the drunk we had last week, the one that hit the telephone pole?
Yeah.
Remember when we had to go up and tell his wife she was a widow? It wasn't very funny either.
Well, we've been back on patrol for the better part of an hour. Let's see, a few moments ago, we thought we were in pursuit of a hot car. At least, it was on the stolen car list, but it turned out to be a gentleman who forgot where he parked his car. Reported it stolen, and then remembered where he left it and forgot to call the police. So the result was a very surprised driver when we hauled him over to the curb. You never know, do you, Sergeant?
No. Don, you notice that young boy walking across the street there?
Where?
One of the newspaper owners are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see him.
I'll bet you 10 to 1 he stole that newspaper.
What do you mean?
Well, I've stopped that boy at least 15 times the last year. Same thing, stealing newspapers, magazines, petty things. Let's go over and have another talk with him.
Okay. Well, let's get out and see what this is all about.
Where did you get the newspaper you got in your hand?
At the stand.
On Washington Boulevard?
Yeah.
What did you use for money?
I just wanted to read the paper. I would bring it back.
Did you put any money in there?
No.
How many times have I told you about this taking of newspapers and things that don't belong to you?
I was going to return it as soon as I
What
read
time
the
did you
comments.
take it?
All around 6:37.
Around 6:30, and it's now 11:30, and you're going to take it back. You think that they're going to be able to sell that newspaper now?
Yeah.
You think they will?
I just wanted to read the comics.
What are we going to do with you on this taking of things that don't belong to you?
It's only 10 cents. I mean 7 cents.
It doesn't make any difference how much it is. Would you like to have somebody take something from you that's worth 10 cents and keep doing it all the time?
No.
Well, then why do you do it for somebody else?
I didn't think.
We want to put you someplace where you'll do a little thinking. I think we'll start by taking you home to your mother.
It took us about 3 minutes to get to this young fellow's home. We're pulling into the curb, and apparently that's the boy's mother standing out in front. Now, let's get out with the sergeant.
Come on, son.
Where was he?
He was walking down from the theater. There's a newspaper that he took off of the stand without paying for it. And what are we going to do about him?
This is stealing? And you're supposed to be home at 10? Well, what am I supposed to do with you? I thought you were a good boy. What made you change? Why do you do what you're not supposed to do? Didn't I explain to you that even though you see a straight pin and you think it's nothing, any kind of a thing that you think is nothing, it's still, if it belongs to someone else, that might be precious to that other person. And you can't steal. It's one of the 10 Commandments. Don't you believe anything I tell you? Yes. Well, why do you do those things? Do you realize that what you did tonight, I don't care how small it is, that's a mortal sin. God didn't say how much or how little to steal. He says, thou shalt not steal, didn't he? Even if you'd starve to death. God wouldn't let you starve. He'll take care of you. But you don't have to steal. I don't understand. I don't know whether I say the right things or not sometimes.
Here is the newspaper. I would suggest that tomorrow morning he go put 7 cents in the stand where he got it. And then I think maybe both you and your son should come down to the next juvenile hearing, which will be next Wednesday night. Let's find out what's going on and see if we can't get this boy straightened out.
Could you look in once in a while?
Sure.
That might help.
Sure. I'd be very happy to.
Appreciate it.
Very happy to.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. Don't worry about it. We'll work it out. You let me know if you got any problems. Okay? Good night, Jim.
You are listening to Night Watch and following a detective unit on its tour of duty. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. We'll bring you the final results of tonight's cases at the conclusion of the Night Watch. We take you now back to car 5-4, somewhere in the field, and police recorder Don Reed.
We're back on patrol again. We may run into a bit of weather before the night's over with. Just kind of glancing out the window, a strong wind is whipping the trees along the street. It could be we're in for some rain before long. We're cruising in the area.
All units in the vicinity and bar 5-1, 211 has converged the market at Jefferson and Dover.
Red light.
Here's a red light, Sergeant. Holding on that call. It's a 211. That's the hold-up. Cutting in our siren now. Since we're a detective unit, we carry the lens in the glove compartment of the car, and consequently we had to put it on by hand just a moment ago. We'll continue this code-free run to get us through the traffic, but as soon as we get in the area, we'll cut it off and go in with just a red light, because there always remains the possibility we may be able to intercept the suspects leaving the scene. Holding on now because we're approaching this intersection. The sergeant is using second gear as we come in now. This gives us added power we need in case of emergency, and at the same time it sort of acts as a brake. Now we're approaching the area. Siren is cut off. We'll go the rest of the way on our own. Checking the streets as we go to see if there's anything of an unusual nature, fast-moving car, perhaps someone running. And looking ahead, down the street several blocks, I can see the red lights of another one of our detective units rolling in from the north. In a moment, we'll be swinging into the curb. There's the market off on the right. A group of people are milling around the front door. Just inside, a couple of clerks are standing by, apparently waiting for us. They'll probably be the victims of this holdup. Here we are. Let's get right in there.
Sergeant Person of the Police Department. This is Lieutenant Kahn. Here's our identification.
You had a robbery in your store just a few minutes ago.
Just a second, let's go. Can you tell me what happened, sir?
Well, when I ran out, the young fellow was just then stepping back away from the register after she had slammed the drawer on his fingers when he tried to reach in. And as I got there, the elder fellow was standing at the end of the check stand. He drew his gun and commanded the younger fellow to get back in and make her open the register.
You're the clerk of the store, ma'am. What did you observe?
Well, they walked in and asked me where the peanut butter was. And I showed the young fellow where the peanut butter was. And he came up the check stand. And as I opened the drawer, he put his hand in the drawer. I slammed the drawer on his hand. He pulled back and walked away, and I locked the register. The elder fellow pulled a gun and asked the young fellow to open the register. He couldn't because I had locked it. Therefore, he asked me to get busy and open the register, as I did. And he grabbed all the money out of the register.
Approximately how much money did he take, do you know?
$190.
$190. And when they got the money, did they walk out the front door? Or what exit did they make?
Yes, sir. They ran out the front door.
Man with the gun went first.
Men with the gun went first.
And the young fellow.
Or did you see a car?
Yes, we could see a car, and I ran out the door. And they were just leaving in I took it for about a 46 Olds or Dodge, old model. I got the numbers, but I don't know if I had them correct.
Got the license number?
Yeah, I don't know if they were the right ones, but they were getting away then.
Okay, sir. If you'll let me have the license numbers of the car, I'll broadcast it right away, and then if you'll stand by and give a detailed report to the uniformed officers.
At present, I'm riding in an undercover car with Detective Sergeant Ward and Detective Walter. About 4 hours have passed since the holdup, and here's how the investigation has progressed so far. Using that license number obtained by a citizen, we telegraphed Sacramento and located the registered owner, and he has a police record. And we've identified him as the younger one of the pair. Sergeant Perkins and his partner have gone to downtown Los Angeles to check out some fingerprints found at the scene. We ourselves here in Car 55 have checked out 3 known places frequented by the suspect, but we've had no luck so far. That is until a few moments ago when Control 1 radioed the younger of the 2 suspects was sighted in the Bay City and known to be heading for an address in Los Angeles. Detective Walter is contacting Control 1 by radio.
55 to Control 1. Would you contact the West Los Angeles station and get a hold of Sergeant Barr of the felony detail and tell him that we're en route to the location and to stake the place until we get there. And Barr.
About 15 minutes has passed since we received that radio message, and we're in the area of the suspect's house now. Turning a corner, this should be his street. Now we're cruising by the house and checking cars as we go. There it is. There's his car over on the left-hand side. And just looking back at the license plate, that's it, all right. A little tension is building up in the car. I can feel it. Coming up to the corner, and across the street in the shadows are a group of officers, some plain clothes and some in uniform. That would be the L.A. felony unit. Now we're pulling into the curb, and in just a moment we'll get out of the car. Now we're crossing the street. There's a slight rain falling right now, and the wind makes it icy cold. Let's cross on over now to the officers.
I'll break for it. We'll be able to follow him in the car. Do you know him, Mike?
Yeah, I booked him once. Well, why don't we set all these automobiles where we can use them?
Well, suppose the uniform men take the car, because they got a red light and siren, they're in uniform. And the rest of us guys take the apartment.
Okay. In case that car takes off, you guys don't let no one
and he's
take
paid
the
for it.
Okay?
He's paid for it.
He's paid for it,
Okay. That means he's the one. He's armed, considered dangerous.
They're going to
Don't take any chances.
Why don't one of you call the city boys go with our guys?
Was there just 2 of you?
Well, one of you guys ought to go with us, and
I'll go with Ward, and Walter, you go with the sergeant.
Okay, fine. Okay.
You know the guy.
Yeah.
Following the officers down the street now. Shotguns are out. They're walking very rapidly. Officers are running now. So am I, to get out of the light, trying to get under the cover of these trees. Here's the picture. I back in at the trees. 2 plainclothes officers circling the house from the rear. 3 are out in front. Now let's wait and see what happens. There goes 2 officers in the front door. Just across the way from me. I can still see 2 officers staked out in back. And from my position, they're in the dark, but I can see their shadows. Incidentally, the revolvers are drawn. There's the signal. They've got him. Let's go. Across the lane, the suspect is pinned to the wall in his handcuffs. Apparently, he was taken by surprise. Let's see what he has to say.
Take these off. I ain't gonna go no place.
Where's the gun at now?
He's got it with him.
What kind of gun was it?
I don't know.
Where was he at when you left?
He was with me. He had a gun on me.
When you left, where was he at?
When I left where? Up there, you mean?
Yeah.
He was in a hotel there.
Look, let's take him on down to the station, get away from all this confusion. John, check out the rest of the rooms, will you? Try to find that gun. Okay, fella, let's go.
We are located now in the Detective Bureau at Police Headquarters. Here's the picture. The suspect we just put under arrest at his home is sitting at a desk and is being questioned by Sergeant Ward, with Sergeant Perkins and Detective Waller taking notes. The interrogation has been going on for about 30 minutes. Now, just a point of clarification. We have 2 bandits involved in an armed robbery. The young suspect we have in custody. The older suspect is still at large. Now, Sergeant Ward is questioning the younger one here at the office about his part in the robbery, and at the same time is trying to get more information regarding the older suspect.
And he said, pull into the store there. So I turned left and stopped. You know. And there was no other car there then. And so we just got out, and I just got out and walked in the store normally. And he said, he stood there at the gate door, you know, waiting for me, you know. So I asked the lady, I said, where's the peanut butter at? And she said, over here. And she handed me a little jar, you know. And I said, no, I want the big size. So she gave me the big one, and I walked to the cash register, and he whips his gun out, and he says, okay, lady, stand aside, get the money. I reached out, and the lady shut the thing, and she said, you go on, get out of here. And I stepped back, and I started to walk out, and then she started calling. This guy was working there. He looked at me, and so I just pushed it like that, and it wouldn't open, and he said, open the cash register, and I just took the money out. And I looked at him, he said, okay, go on, get in the car, you know.
Where'd you put the money? In your pocket?
Right here in this pocket.
You didn't put it in a bag or anything like that?
I just stuck it right in this pocket. And so I walked out to the car, and then he jumped in the car and he said, you're in this just as bad as I am. And I said, you better get out of here. So I started the car, I got scared, and I took off. So I told him, I said, well, you're going to get caught. I said, because the guy got my license number. And he said, well, maybe you're going to get caught, but I'm not going to get caught. And so he says, the best thing for you to do, he said, you better get out of town until you get some money, you know. Because he said, if you only get 10 years, it's okay with me. So I drove down the street and I parked in front of my house, and he said, okay, give me the money, you know. So I reached my pocket and pulled it all out and gave it to him, you know.
How about any other jobs that he told you about? He said he'd been doing it for a long time?
He said he'd been doing it ever since he was 16 years old.
Perkins. Well, it's probably just as well you didn't try to go out that back window. Probably wouldn't be talking to us now.
The suspect is being escorted out of the office, and I've just been handed a note stating that the 2 victims of this robbery are here at the station, and in just a moment we'll head for the cell block and the lineup. Speaking now from the cell block here at the police station, and directly ahead of me are 5 individuals lined up. 2 of them are detectives, 1 is a clerk, a citizen, and the suspect. And now, in just a moment, as I'm speaking, Lieutenant Conlon, Chief of Detectives, is going to bring in the 2 victims of the holdup, and they will attempt to pick out of this lineup the suspect they believe that held them up. Now, bear in mind that the suspect we are holding here in the cell is wearing a green jacket and a white shirt.
Look over this group here and see what you can see if you recognize. Fellow in the middle, is that the one you... The green jacket. Your posse? That's the one that was in the place whenever your cashier was held up. And your posse with identification. Okay, just a minute. I get it cleared out. Will you look over those men there and see which one took the money from the cash register?
Yes, the one with the green jacket.
You possibly identify him?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
The witnesses are leaving the cell block now, and Sergeant Perkins is taking the prisoner back to the cell. Well, Sergeant?
Well done. 1 down, 1 to go.
You have been listening to actual investigations as recorded from Detective Unit 5-4 on The Night Watch. And now back to Police Headquarters and Chief W.N. Hildebrand.
In the case tonight of the person involved in the automobile accident, the officers themselves did not observe the suspect driving the vehicle. Therefore, he was arrested for violation of City Ordinance 447, which is plain intoxication. In the case involving the young suspect in an armed robbery, he was booked on violation of Section 211 of the Penal Code, the penalty of which is not less than 5 years in state prison. The Detective Bureau, under Lieutenant Bob Conlon, have the full identity of the second suspect involved in this robbery, and a crew of detectives are working on the case at the present time. As you heard tonight, no police department can be effective without the combined efforts of the citizens and their realization of the problems encountered by their officers. If, through this program, our department can further that cause, then our efforts shall be well rewarded in bringing you Night Watch.
Thank you, Chief Hildebrand. You have just heard on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Night Watch is brought to you through the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California, and is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hedlock, with technical advice by Police Sergeant Ron Perkins, and is described in the field by Police Recorder Don Reed.
Car 54 in service, starting mileage 9421, 9421. Officers Perkins and George, tour of duty 6 p.m., 2 a.m. on the Night Watch.
5-4, 6:09 p.m., starting Night Watch.
This is Don Reed. I'm a police recorder. You're riding in the detective unit reporting in service on the Night Watch. As you go along with us, remember, this is it. This is real. This is what happens on the Night Watch.
Night Watch, the actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors, there is no script. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. Night Watch is presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California. W.N. Hildebrand, Chief. We switch you now to Car 54 on patrol and to Police Recorder Don Reed.
It's 6:09 p.m., and we're just starting out patrol on the Night Watch.
With the way down, I think we'd better keep in pretty close touch with Control 1 tonight.
Anything cooking?
I don't want to jinx anything by saying too much, but do you remember that holdup we had in the market last week?
Yeah, we got one suspect, and the other fellow flew the coop. So?
Well, Warden Walter is still working on that case, and we might get some action before the night's over with. By the way, you got a cigarette?
I thought you quit smoking.
Well, you know how it is.
Control 154. Contact the officer at Dawson Durham Way, holding a shoplifting suspect. 6:11 p.m.
5-4, 10-4. All right, you've just heard that call. I should judge. We're taking off now. I should judge we're just a block or two away, actually, from where this call has been reported. Now, we have nothing further than just what you heard over the air, that a shoplifting suspect is being held, apparently by one of our officers. We're not very far away. We're coming right into a business section. And as soon as we slip along past a few cars, we'll be able to turn onto the boulevard that should produce the scene here. As a matter of fact, we'll have to stop for a boulevard stop, slowing down now and making a turn. Now we're on the street, and it should be in this next block. Isn't that right, Sergeant?
Yes, there's the officer right up there.
Yeah, all right. Here he is, directly ahead. We're coming into the curb now. I can see the officer standing there. He has a suspect in custody. So let's go along with the officers now.
Officer Cameron, what happened up here?
Well, I was walking beat when I walked past Grants. The manager came out and talked to me and says that one of his sales lady observed this woman placing 15 shirts in a paper bag. And when the woman noticed that she was spotted, she immediately placed the shirts back and started out. However, the manager talked to me and pointed out the woman, and I stopped her, and after interrogation, I called you.
Is that the woman over there?
Yes, it is.
Let's go over and talk to her.
I can see the shoplifting suspect standing in the archway of this store in custody of another officer, and she's dressed in a short-sleeved sweater with a light blue skirt. As I'm entering this alcove, I have the feeling I'm talking in a tunnel. Well, now, here's the picture. The suspect is unusually nervous, has a strange blank stare, almost as if she were looking at you, but she didn't see you. Now, the sergeant is questioning her about shoplifting 15 shirts. But I can tell by the expression on his face. There's something wrong here.
I don't know. That's why I put them down.
You ever been arrested before?
Yes, I have. I don't know what it was. It said offering or soliciting or what. I don't know, but one or the other. Just one.
I noticed that you have some marks on your arms there. What are they from?
I fell about 2 weeks ago.
What about this scar on this arm over here?
I don't know what that scar is.
Have you ever used narcotics of any kind?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever been arrested for narcotics?
No, I haven't. No.
It's very similar. I notice on this one here, and I notice a little mark up here.
That is where I fell.
This scar is comparatively new.
That's where I picked it. I fell.
2 marks in there in addition to the scar.
No, sir, they're not no marks. It's where I fell and scratched my arm on the
How about this
fence.
one right here?
I don't know what that is. I guess it's just a pimple like over here on this other one.
No, there's 2 little points right on that one there.
The skin of it is there. It's not a pin mark. See there?
I think that you're going to have to be held on a narcotics charge.
Oh.
Until we can have this checked.
Well, why? It's not a narcotic. I mean, that's not no narcotic. That's when I sprayed my arm on the fence when I fell with the baby, where you can easily see here.
You also have other marks. You've got a mark over this arm here.
But that's not no narcotic mark.
Well, you can
It's
feel
not a narcotic mark.
You can feel the raid on it right there.
These scars been on here I don't know how long. I don't even know what they're from. I don't recall what they're from. That's the mole. I have them all over me. There's another one.
This one is blue right in the vein.
Here's another one right here.
Well, I think we're going to hold you until we check on it.
Oh, that's so unfair.
The suspect is being taken into custody now by Sergeant Perkins and is being escorted to our police car. Now, we've observed there is sufficient evidence of the use of narcotics to warrant further investigation. So now, back to headquarters. I'm speaking now from the Detective Bureau in Police Headquarters. And Sergeant Perkins has already explained to Lieutenant Conlon, Chief of Detectives, the circumstances regarding the arrest. The suspect is being brought into the office now by the matron. It is being seated across the desk from Lieutenant Conlon. Let's get in behind and listen to this interrogation.
Well, I'll ask you something. Have you ever used any narcotics?
No, sir, I never have.
Are you positive about it?
Yes, sir, I am positive.
Did you ever smoke any marijuana?
Yes, I have.
You smoke marijuana?
Yes, I have.
About how many sticks did you smoke a week?
Maybe 2.
2?
At the most that I recall.
Did you ever feel like that you'd like to go to something a little bit heavier than marijuana?
No.
Do you mind if I look at your arms?
No, sir, I don't.
You see this snake that runs from here down to here?
Mm-hmm.
What caused that? See
No,
here?
just here.
Right here. There's a continuous snake that runs all the way down your arm on this main line down here. Here's a bruise spot here.
That's the most.
What caused this?
I don't know. At different times I've hurt myself. That's all.
And you mean to tell me this is caused from a cut?
I have proof. That's nothing stuck in me.
I know that you have smoked marijuana, which you told me you have smoked marijuana.
Yes, sir.
And there is every reason in the world to believe that you have graduated to H.
I see it is.
And you don't know what caused this scar here.
I don't know if I scratched myself at some time or something. It's been a long time ago. I know that whenever it happened. I haven't had anything on there recently.
How many people do you know that smoke marijuana now? Tell me the truth now.
I'm thinking. Did I actually know? Did I know that smoked marijuana? Maybe 5 or 6.
What do you think, Lieutenant Conlon? Well, I think that she's definitely addicted to narcotics. Her arms show so. She has a snake that runs about 6 inches through the main part of her arm, and she has one in the bend of her arm near the main line, which indicates to me that she is a user of narcotics of some form or other.
Okay, well, shall we take her down and book her on narcotics?
Yeah, take her down and book her for an addict, 11721 of the H&S code, and see that she's booked and searched by the matron.
Okay, we'll do, Lieutenant.
Well, policewoman Pinkston is taking the suspect out of the office and down to the booking desk. Well, what happens now, Sergeant?
You know, Don, we can get help for her if she wants it. But if she doesn't, well, it's her life.
We've been back on patrol for better than 30 minutes. And a few moments ago, Car 53 received a prowler call. Since we're the only detective unit in the area, we're rolling in to see if any assistance is necessary. The only information we have is, of course, that radio transmission which said that there's a prowler on the north side of the building. We don't have anything further at all on it. Incidentally, we're approaching the area now. Sergeant, just cut the lights, just in case. There's our uniform car directly ahead. And looking over, the 2 officers have a suspect in custody. Everything seems to be pretty much under control. Now, let's get out and check this out with the officers. Out of the car. The suspect is well-dressed. However, now that I get a closer look at him, it appears that he's been walking on his hands and knees. And incidentally, the entire left side of his body is bent way over to one side. Frankly, it's difficult to see how he remains standing. Officer George and his partner are questioning the suspect. Let's move in a little closer.
Don't live no place, sir, but I am staying at the hotel.
So you live at the hotel
now? Yes, sir, I do not. Tonight I do. Yes, sir.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing around those apartments back there, a couple blocks back? Wandering around behind them.
I don't believe I was, sir, but if you say I was, you have it.
The situation is obvious.
What
The suspect appears to be under the influence and is listening to the port side, I'd say about 30 degrees. Consequently, when he tried to walk down the street, he wound up going up someone's driveway in the dark, bumping the sides of buildings. Result, a prowler call.
What have you been drinking? Scotch and water, sir.
How much?
Oh, I dare say $5 worth.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he's in no condition to take care of himself.
Definitely.
Suppose you get in the police car.
Roger. But why make
Because you're under the influence of alcohol in public.
May I go home and not have it, May I get up tomorrow and not have it?
Personally, I don't think you can make it home. The way you're walking, the way you're standing. I'll tell you what. You see this line right here?
Yes, sir.
See this line?
Yes, sir.
Can you walk down it like this? Put your heel to your toe just like that. Walk straight down it like I'm doing.
I'll try, sir.
All right, try that until I tell you to stop.
I dare say I won't be able to do it.
Well, go ahead and give it away.
Well, I'll give it a try. I know in advance I shan't be able to do it, sir. Arrest me.
Do this, then. Put your...
This business, maybe I can do that. But if you're going to arrest me, I'm sorry.
Well, we're sorry, too. Suppose you get in the police.
That more or less speaks for itself. The suspect is under arrest and is being placed in Unit 5-3. So, let's get back to our car and continue patrol on the night watch.
You are listening to Night Watch and following a detective unit on its tour of duty. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. We'll bring you the final results of tonight's cases at the conclusion of the Night Watch. Defense of our country is not a responsibility just for the military. It's up to every one of us to help. The Air Force has formed the Ground Observer Corps as a nationwide civilian component of the Air Defense Command. Sign up to become a Ground Observer Corps volunteer in your locality. Write or telephone your nearest Civil Defense Center. Now we switch you back to police headquarters and police recorder Don Reed.
Police Department, Officer Lang? Yes, sir. Yes, just a moment. He's standing right here. Sergeant Perkins, for you. Thanks.
Perkins? Yeah. Oh, good. When did you pick him up? Okay, well, bring him on into the station, and we'll meet you in the Dix Bureau. Okay. Looks like our information was correct, Don.
Yeah, how's that?
Well, remember that second suspect we were looking for? The one that stuck up the market last week?
Yeah.
Ward and Walters got him. They're bringing him in now.
It's 11:40 p.m., almost an hour since we received that phone call. We're located now in the Detective Bureau here at headquarters. In just a few moments, the 211 suspect we were referring to will be brought into the office. Incidentally, 211 in police terminology means armed robbery. It'll be a moment or two, so let me fill you in on the picture. Last week, two men held up a market. Fortunately, an alert citizen got the license number of the getaway car. Result, one suspect was captured that night. That was last week, you may remember. However, the second suspect, or the older one of the pair, managed to escape arrest when the two split up that night. He went into hiding, and when he became confident that he had made a clean getaway, the suspect returned to his old haunts, trying to find his partner. Well, that's where he made his mistake, because tonight he walked into the arms of two detectives. The prisoner is being brought into the room now by Detective Walter. Sergeant Perkins will take notes, and Sergeant Ward will question him.
Robbery at the Culver City Market down there.
I robbed it.
Tell us about it. How'd you get the idea to stick that place up?
Well, we looked around, and it was a market, you know, with a cash register in the front. And not having any experience, I said, well, now that's the place to go right there. Oh, it's easy, you know. Anybody can do it. It's not too good. Fact is, I've been a pretty good man, but I'm not anymore. Now, the way it happened, went in, I said, you take the money and I'll watch everybody, you know. So this guy, he gets a jar of peanut butter. Said, how much is that? She told him. And he reached in his pocket. Said, you got change for 10? He didn't have a dime. She said, yeah. And she opened the cash register. So I pull out this gun. I said, all right, get the money. She said, quit that. I guess it didn't look much like a gun to her, but it was. Pretty good imitation, at least. I said, here's your head. Open that thing again.
You got real mean.
Oh, yeah. So she opened it. Of course, I wouldn't shot. But anyway, she opened it, and he took the money, and that's all there is to it.
What was the motivating factor of it?
I'll tell you exactly the whole story. I'm a robber. I came out of the Veterans Hospital, and I said, well, now, I've got to loaf a while before I go to work. I had a little money. So I went over. They got a son. I said, he's AWL again. 4 times since you saw him. He's been drafted in the Army, and he's been AWL 4 times. Said he's married. He's got a wife here. He's going to have a baby in about 3 weeks. Well, then I met his wife. Look like she's falling apart. I said, I'll send her to the hospital. I'll send her. I ain't got no money. I said, you can get out and make some, can't you? You're a great big boy now, 21, in the Army. I thought, that's him. Can't even go to the doctor. Hasn't got a dime. I said, well, look, you're no good. You've never been. He's a, purse snatcher. Snatches purse from women, thing like that. And he's a big husky, too. But anyway, I said, well, why don't you do something and get some money? What can I do? I said, I'll show you. I said, you got a gun? No. I said, I'll go get one. We'll rob somebody. We'll put the girl in the hospital and take care of her. Okay. Said, they won't do no more for you that than they will for robbing women. Got me an old, pretty good imitation of a gun and went down. And I said, let's go. How we do it? We'll just pick a place. Rob them, that's all there is to it. I ain't never had no experience at all. Now, he claimed he had, but now you'll find that's a lie. He said him and Bulldog, the guy that's in jail for forgery, in prison rather, he said him and Bulldog used to rob these places. You'll find that's a lie. I bet you $10 he never robbed a place before in his life. No, I didn't. But anyway, we went in, robbed a man, took the money, and drove on home. I said, now go in and give your wife the money. Tell her to go to the hospital and so. No, he said, I got to get out of town. They might have got the number of this car.
How much money did you get?
I don't know. He had it. Now, as it was closed, I'll tell you what, I can tell you within $20 what it was. It was between $180 and $200.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did he keep all that money?
Oh, no. We split it up.
Split it up.
Boy, evenly, 50-50. But there was between 180 and 200.
How long did you shop around before you figured that you'd hit this Culver City market?
Quite a while. What I mean, we looked over 3 or 4 places. At least 2 that was undecided about.
Both of them markets?
Yeah.
Remember where they were?
No, I don't even know where this one was. I could find it again, but I don't even know where it was.
What made you pick this particular place? Any particular reason?
No. Now, he picked where he's appointed, and I just picked this one because I was looking for a market. And I picked this one, I guess because I thought it was easy, It looked like it just, well, it was awfully easy to rob a place. Anybody could do that. That's nothing.
You remember going in the market 15 minutes before you stuck the place up?
We went in there. It wasn't 15 minutes or something. I'd say half an hour before.
Okay.
Yeah, went in there and he bought some chewing gum.
What were you doing then? Sort of casing the place?
Sure, looking over.
Uh-huh.
Well, when you both went in there, you both knew that what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah, we went in there to rob it and did rob it.
I mean, you discussed it before you went in there.
Sure.
What if that guy in there would have...
But I still went to jail because I was going to tell a man. That's the first time in my life I ever took anything from anybody. And do you know what I can do? I can make your eyeballs bug out.
With what?
With a gun. And I wouldn't shoot anybody for anything in the world.
Are you a good shot with a gun?
I'm not only a good one, but the best.
With a pistol, huh?
Mm-hmm. Our rifle. I was 7 years an instructor in the Marines.
Is that right?
Teaching that every day, shooting every day. We have a bob and target. If either one of you in service, you know what a bob and target is. It doesn't go up and down like it sounds, but it goes this way.
Yeah.
You know, it's made of cardboard. A silhouette. Well, each time it turns, every 3 seconds, you see. It's 3 seconds toward you and 3 seconds away. You shoot that one time, then once you're ready, you shoot again. I was working on it range for about a year, and I said to Thomas was world champion at the time. I said, how many times could you hit that on one turn if you wanted to? He said, I don't know. 2 or 3, I guess. I said, let's try it. So we come up, when it turns, bang, bang, bang. Get 3 hits on it, you know. I said, man, practice that, he can get fast. I said, it might help a man sometime, you know, you get down in the jungle. So we start practicing. And Thomas, he said, well, we don't do that in the national matches. You know, in Count Perry, you don't do that. So he didn't fool with it. But I kept on. And I could put one shell in the chamber, 7 in the clip, and on one turn, I'd hit that 7 times straight, and one time it would be turning, one long one, you know. I could hit it 8 times in 3 seconds. So I used to watch, and fellas come up with these blue and gold badges as distinguished, you know. I'd say, after they'd shoot this, that's the last thing you shoot at, see bob and target. One time every 3 seconds, you know. I'd say, if you wanted to, how many times could you hit that on one turn? I don't know, 2 or 3, I guess. Let's try it and see. So I'd tell him, all right, run it again. He'd run it, and I'd blam, blam, maybe 3, sometimes 4, you know. I said, it seemed to me like a man ought to get that 6, 7 times. No, that's too fast. I'll tell you what I'll do now. I don't know, but I'll bet you that I can hit it 8 times in 3 seconds. I'll bet you a dinner at the club. That's a bet. I used to eat dinner every day on some poor sucker, you know. Because I practiced it over a year. Well, one day our captain come down. His name was Colony. And he said, what kind of racket you got here? And I said, I don't know what you mean. He said, every day I see you in the club eating. You never pay. I said, I get these suckers, and I bet him I can hit that bob and target 8 times in 3 seconds. 8 times? Yes. He said, well, meet another sucker. And I said, I bet you can't do it. I'd like to see it. So I eat off of him, too.
What would you have done if that guy in the store would have pulled out a gun?
I'd have shot it out of his hand, shot his arm. I could hit his arm easy. I could hit one eye. I told a man one time, and I wasn't lying to him. I said, I'll shoot out your right eye or your left one, and I'll drill you another between them, just whichever you want.
Did you have any shells for that gun?
No. It wouldn't take a shell.
Well, now, wait just a second. You said this man had pulled a gun on you. Well, you'd have shot the gun out of his hand. How could you...
Yeah, I'd have hollered bang, bang. Hey, now listen, fellas. I'm going to plead guilty to robbing a man, please. I am. I'm going to plead guilty. I won't make no excuses, and I won't tell nobody I was doing it for somebody else because I wasn't. And
everything you told us is...
Everything I've told you is true. I'm just going to plead guilty.
What about this $3,000 market job that you told this kid that you were in on?
Oh, I've never told him anything.
That's what he says. Did you ever stick up any place else?
No, never have.
Did you ever tell this kid that you stuck up?
No. No, he was the one that was sticking up, and I told you. I said, I bet you $10 he'd never stuck up a place in his life. He was green as I was, greener.
When you bought this gun, did you have any intention of using it for...
That was what I was going to do with it.
You fully intended
Oh, yeah.
Well, you bought the gun after you met this kid or before?
Mm-hmm.
After you met him?
Yeah.
after we planned to rob his place. Someplace, not this one. Just rob a place.
Okay, we'll take him back and lock him up for the night then. Right.
I'm sorry. Oh, you got some trouble with it.
That's all right. We get paid for it.
You have been listening to Actual Investigations as recorded from Detective Unit 5-4 on The Night Watch. And now back to Police Headquarters and Chief W.N. Hildebrand.
In the case tonight of the woman arrested on the charge of shoplifting and suspicion of being a narcotic addict, the department store manager dropped the shoplifting complaint in view of the seriousness of the narcotic charge, and in order to help this department obtain the proper treatment for her. The last case heard tonight cleared our records of the market holdup, with both suspects admitting their participation in the armed robbery. I might mention at this time the penalty for this crime is a minimum of 5 years in the state prison. One of the keys to the quick solution of this case was an alert citizen taking the license number of a suspicious car. Given this information, our Detective Bureau, under Lieutenant Bob Conlon, followed the trail for over a week before finally locating and arresting the second suspect. Our city presents a difficult problem of police work because of our geographical location. We are located in the heart of a large metropolitan area. My department is cooperating to bring you the on-the-scene action of the Night Watch to show you the important part that you as a citizen can play in keeping your police department an effective organization. If through this program we can further that cause, then our efforts will be well rewarded.
Thank you, Chief Hildebrand. You have just heard on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Night Watch, brought to you through the cooperation of your police department of Culver City, California, is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hadlock, with technical advice by Sergeant Ron Perkins, and described in the field by police recorder Don Reed.
5-6 in service, starting mileage 2937, 2937. Officers Perkins and Barner on station called Jefferson and Stanley.
Check 5-6, 6:21 p.m., starting night watch.
This is Don Reed, and I'm the police recorder riding with this detective unit on the call. The sounds you're listening to are authentic. Now, where are we going? What are we going to do? Well, I can't answer that question because it hasn't happened. But you're going to ride with us tonight and just listen while the cases unfold. Now, remember one thing. The people you hear are not actors. This is it. This is real. This is what happens on the Night Watch.
Night Watch, the actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors. There is no script. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. Night Watch, presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California. W.N. Hildebrand, Chief. We switch you now to car 5-6 on patrol, and your police recorder, Don Reed.
It's 6:23 p.m., and we're already on a call here on the Night Watch. And just as we were leaving the station, the watch commander ordered this unit to Jefferson and Stanley at the gas station to investigate a possible suspect passing bad checks. Well, as I understand the situation, one of our uniformed cars has the suspect in custody at the scene. So in just a matter of seconds, we'll be there. Sort of a sidelight to this deal, in the terminology of the police department, they refer to a person passing bad checks as a paper hanger. Somehow I always get amused at that expression. Well, speaking of the gas station, here we are. A gentleman dressed in a blue outfit is waiting for us off on the left. One of our cars has the possible suspect detained. So let's get out with the sergeant and see what this is all about.
Are you the manager? Yes. Can we step in the station and talk to you a second? understand you had some bum checks passed here. Can you tell us a little something about it?
Yes, I can. Chap drove in and he said, would I take a personal check? And I said, for the amount of the purchase only. I figured that if it was a phony or something, he wouldn't want to put them on the purchase, but he said, okay.
Did you ever see this all before?
No, I hadn't. Said to go ahead, fill the tank up. And so I was filling it up, and he mentioned that he had been in here a year ago, and I cashed a check for him then, and also he'd been in 3 months ago in a different car, and I cashed a check then. So I did at that time begin to get a little suspicious of him, but I couldn't figure his ways of getting the extra money. And he said, well, while you got it here, go ahead and lube and drain it. So I said, okay. So we pulled it around, put it on the rack, and drained the oil. And while I was lubing it, he said, asked me if I had any white sidewall tires in stock. And I thought then that was what his angle was, to have me throw them in the back of the car and go out. So I told him, no, I didn't have them. I'd have to order them. So he said, well, do you run the wash rack? I said, no. That belongs to another party that you'll have to take it back and have it washed. So when we dropped it down, he wrote out the check for me and then turned around, took it back to the wash rack. And while it was in the tunnel or through the process of being washed, I called the Pasadena branch of this bank that he gave me the check on, and they took several minutes. And then they finally come back and told me it wasn't any good. So he came up here, and I told him his check wasn't any good. I asked him what he was going to do about it. And he said, okay, something's gone wrong. He said, I'll pay you for it. So he took out his pocketbook, and he had around $3 in it. And he said, well, you take this and take my spare tire, and I'll be back in a little while. And I said, no, you leave the car and then come back, bring me back the money. He said, well, okay, I'll be back here in an hour and give you the money. And he said, so keep the car here. I forgot to tell you that during the time that they had to call the Culver City Police, and they had a patrol car in the way, and the patrol car arrived at the time that he was starting in that store. And then they immediately went over and picked him up.
They picked him up over there at the store across the street.
Yes, that was just...
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Out here on the street again, and sitting across in one of our cars, I see the suspect in the back guarded by an officer. Apparently he's handcuffed. I can see his hands twisted in behind his back. So from here, let's go on down to police headquarters and follow through with this investigation.
I'm speaking now from the Detective Bureau from Police Headquarters. Sergeant Perkins has been assigned another investigation for the moment, so we are following this case through. The suspect, arrested a few moments ago on suspicion of attempting to pass a bad check, is seated at the desk. Questioning him, Lieutenant Conroy and Detective Hanson of the perjury detail.
In this area before?
I've passed some around, yes, a few of them.
How many places did you visit in Culver City while you were here?
Just one.
And how many checks altogether would you say you have out?
I don't know.
Where are these checks?
Around in the area. I mean around the Los Angeles area.
We put out an all-points bulletin. What kind of reports are we going to get back from these other towns?
San Diego. No, I don't know.
Well, we want to know in the L.A. area approximately how many checks have you put out here? Approximately.
Half a dozen maybe, or a little more.
How much would you generally make these checks for? Approximately
about $10.
About $10. And you would go in and buy something?
Yeah.
And then you'd get back some money in return?
Yeah.
And you'd always use your name, but you never forged any checks. It was always NSF.
My name.
Use your name, and you would. It was just insufficient funds in the bank. No account. No account checks. Well, I tell you what. You know that you have committed a crime. You know that you have passed a lot of bad checks, so you know that you're going to be booked.
I tried twice to give myself up, but cold feet and turn around and went back.
Well, okay, take him out and book him in on 476A.
It's 8:42 p.m., and we're here in the cell block at the police station. Well, since we're not quite ready to go back on patrol at the moment, there's a couple of questions that I'd like to ask this suspect sort of off the record. So let's go over and have a talk with him. Tell me, how did you get started writing bad checks?
Well, it was just the handiest way to keep going after I ran out of the last job. And it would seem to be the best and safest way.
The safest way?
It seemed to be the safest way to me. I couldn't see running in and sticking up somebody. I mean, it's just, I figured I could come out better by writing a few bad checks and getting through what I had to have than I could by sticking up somebody.
Did you ever get, well, we won't say did you ever get caught, because looking through these bars, I think we got the answer for that. You know, if you could talk to several million young folks, you know, there might be a few of them that might be getting the idea that they too could get some easy money. If you had that chance, what would you tell them?
Well, in the first place, it's not easy money. It's hard money, because in the first place, it doesn't belong to you, and your conscience will never let you live it down. And although you can get $15 or $20 maybe by just signing your name on something, it's awful hard to live with it. I'm a living example that it doesn't work.
Okay. I'll try and pass your message along. Good night.
Good night.
We've just received a call of a possible attempt suicide in a car, so we're rolling right now. This call sort of caught us off guard. We were just pulling into a drive-in to have dinner. The sergeant picked up the phone to request code 7, and bang, here we go. Looks like dinner will have to wait a while. We've had in our siren, rolling code 3.
5-2, come in.
Here comes a call on our speaker.
5-2, go ahead. 5-2, over in Globe. Attempt suicide. I'm notifying the fire department now.
You heard control 1 advised, fire department notified. Means sending interlator. Also, Unit 5-2, one of our uniformed cars, is running with us. We'll be there in just a matter of seconds now. As we approach each intersection, that siren hits such a high peak it's almost impossible to talk. Should be in the next block. Street's empty, except for one car parked against the curb on the right-hand side. That must be it. Slowing down.
Someone over there pointing, Sergeant. That's the car there? Okay. Thank you.
Witness too frightened to talk. Pointing. Car closed up. One occupant. Appears unconscious. Motor running. Strong possibility carbon monoxide. Comes another one of our units rolling in behind us. Yeah, here's one right here, Sergeant. Up to the car. And slumped over the wheel.
How you going, fella? You okay?
He's short. Fat.
You okay, huh?
Blood drained from his face.
Been drinking tonight or what?
Yeah. It's all right.
You're all right, huh? You know you've been parked here with the motor running, all the windows rolled up? You might have died this way, you know.
Yeah.
You trying to commit suicide?
No.
You're not, huh?
Good.
Just a 447 left his car parked with the motor running. I think you can cancel the emulator. Yeah, you don't drive the car. Just leave the car alone. He's out of the car. We'll take the keys.
I want the keys.
We've got the keys right here.
No, I mean,
What?
the other deal. I put the keys in there where I put the other speaker.
You did what?
I mean, put the keys in there where I put the other speaker.
What speaker?
Do you want 3 of them? You want,
What, are you selling them?
No.
let's come out.
Yeah. No, I was supposed to put in another speaker.
Supposed to put another speaker where?
In the office.
No.
Not the office, but over in this room.
You know what time it is?
Too late.
You know where you are?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
Bakersfield right now.
Where?
Not Bakersfield, but Fresno.
Fresno?
Just for the records, Fresno's about 275 miles north of here.
Have you ever heard of Culver City?
Yes, Culver City.
That's where you are now.
We're close to home.
Okay, Ellis, here's his keys. You better take him in and book him on drunk auto.
Nice little place.
Let's get back to our car.
Oh, wait a minute. Come on, we'll put you in bed. No, wait a minute. Put you in the station. No.
560 Control 1, clearing the attempt suicide, 4478. 52 has subject in custody.
1056, 10:15 p.m.
What you so quiet about?
Just thinking.
What about him?
That guy.
What about him?
Oh, I don't know. I was just thinking we had to roll code 3 through all that traffic just for a guy asleep in a car.
What's the matter? You want to go back to being a radio announcer?
No. I think I look good with gray hair.
You are listening to Night Watch and following the activities of a detective unit on their tour of duty. The people you hear are not actors. Every voice, every sound is real. Investigations are recorded as they actually occur. We'll give you the final results of tonight's cases at the conclusion of The Night Watch. We all know that insurance is a pretty important thing to have. We insure our homes, our cars, even our lives. Today, more than any other time in our history, we need country insurance. That's right, we need an insurance policy that will cover everything we own, including our lives, from the total destruction of an atomic war. That insurance is the Ground Observer Corps. Find out how you can become a member of the Ground Observer Corps by calling your information operator today. And now we switch you back to Detective Unit 5-6, now on patrol in the field, and to police recorder Don Reed.
What time you got, Don? Oh, now let me check. It's 10:30. I'm hungry, to be honest with you.
Me too. Let's eat. 5-6 to 1, requesting 7 at the hilltop.
Control 1 to 5-6. Continue patrol. Stand by for call.
5-6, roger.
Well, that takes care of that.
Must have something hot.
Yeah, it could
Control
be.
1 to all units. At 1216 Jewel Drive. Ambulance cutting. 5-6, handle a call. Code 3.
5-6, 10-4.
There goes our dinner. You heard that call. Ambulance cutting. That's the only information we have. There's been a knifing of some sort. Apparently, someone has been injured. There goes our siren now. Sergeant's cutting it in. A knifing. Let's see, what does it mean? Is it over with? Is it still going on? What do we look out for when we get there? Well, we're all sort of thinking along those lines right now. Now, we have to drop our speed considerably as we approach each intersection so as not to outrun the sound of our sirens. If we see any motorists coming into the side streets, we'll only hear our approach from a short distance, especially if they happen to have the radio going in the car. And now the sergeant's really blasting that siren coming into that intersection. Getting closer. And it's an even number. Should be on the left-hand side of the street. Here it is. Here it is. Small hotel. We're sliding into a stop with a group of people scattering for cover. They're waving us into the building. The sergeant is out of the car. Let's get going. On the street. Into the building. Man standing halfway up the stairs. There's blood flowing from his arm or chest. I can't be sure. Now he's starting to run, and the sergeant is chasing him. He's turning into a room. The sergeant has him trapped in the corner.
I don't want to go.
You don't want to go where?
I don't want to go.
Take a look at this arm, honey.
I don't want to go.
What happened, Tom?
I don't want to go.
Don't want to go where?
I don't want to go. I don't.
Just somebody make a tourniquet of this.
The sergeant is grabbing a tie and calling off the dresser to make a tourniquet.
Okay, just relax a minute.
Hold it.
Hey, I don't want to go.
All right, let me get this tourniquet on.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Hey.
Hold it a minute, fellow, will you?
Hey, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Let's get this tourniquet on.
Hey, you understand it, don't you?
Yeah, we understand it.
Hey.
You want to call an ambulance, Bill?
I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Okay, now let's just hold it here a minute.
Do you know what happened?
Look, sit down a minute. Sit down a minute.
You want to tell me this what happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Do you really want to know?
Yes, sir. Keep your arm up a little bit, will you? So the blood doesn't drip all over. Keep it up here like that. Tell us what happened. What happened, fella?
I got to see it so much. It's pitiful.
Well, what happened tonight on this deal? What'd you do? Did you try to slash your wrist or something? Huh?
I just can't see no more. I just
just relax. Take it easy.
I just can't see
Relax
no more.
a minute, will you? We're trying to help you here. Now just relax. You want to tell us what happened?
Hey, my arm's starting to hurt.
I know it's going to hurt, but we can keep this closed for about 20 minutes before we have to release it.
All right, so I done wrong. I saw I done wrong.
What did you do?
I was going down.
You got the bleeding stopped, Sergeant? Much as possible now. You want to tell us what happened?
I just took a razor. I don't know. I don't know myself. Do you know that?
Where's the razor? Is it in the room here? Is it up in the shower room or where?
I don't know. Don't let that...
Just sit down, relax. Just hold it right there.
Boy, I'd like to get that.
Come on. Just relax now. Look. You're just aggravating the situation now.
I'm aggravating it. Why don't you listen to me?
We are. We're trying to.
Why don't you listen to me?
Tell us what you know about it.
There he is, boy. Come on, shake me.
As far as I can see, no one came into the room.
You want to tell us what happened?
Just glancing out the window. There's an ambulance pulling up to the curb out there.
Right there. Don't you see him?
No, I don't.
Huh? I don't want nothing to do with you.
A couple of the officers are up here now and are assisting the victim downstairs to the ambulance.
Sergeant, can you make anything out of this? I've got some ideas, Don. One thing we know for sure, those wounds weren't self-inflicted. Somebody's been working that fellow over with a razor blade. You can say that again. Let's get over at the am and see that he gets in there okay.
Roger. Down on the street. The officers are having a difficult time getting the victim on a stretcher.
All lay down. Fine. Now, well, that's good enough, ain't it? I mean, now, what more to expect? Ain't there a...
Slide right there. Can you take him up a little further?
Yeah, slide up this way, man. Slide up. I can slide up more than you ever saw.
All right, put your foot down there, Colin.
Let me out of here.
It's apparent the victim is entering shock, whether he realizes it or not. He's lost a lot of blood. His face is very, very pale. I wonder if you'll ever know how lucky he is we arrived in time.
Hey, that's fine.
Well, that gets him underway to the hospital. Officer Ross is riding with him to keep him under control. Takes care of that. Where do we go from here, Sergeant?
Let's get back inside, Don, and find out what really happened.
Roger. Well, we have a possible witness here, so let's follow along and see if we can pick up any information.
He came and knocked on my door.
This your door here?
Yes, And he says, I want somebody. And I looked at him and I saw his arms bleeding quite badly. And I said to my husband, I said, honey, this man is bleeding terrible. And so he tried to put a tourniquet on it, and he couldn't do it. So he goes back upstairs and he says, I want help. You see where he threw blood on me, clear from upstairs, downstairs.
Do you know who he is and how long he's lived here?
No, I don't. But I do know this much. Look down here for this rat pack. You're going to find a bunch of them down here.
What rat pack? Where?
Don't say anything.
Where?
Right here. He didn't cut himself with a razor. He was cut with a knife.
Now, who cut him?
He was cut out front.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
I know he was cut.
He told me when he came down.
He told us that he slashed his own wrist.
Oh, he didn't.
Well, that bit of information probably won't help much because it doesn't match the physical evidence. Where to, Sergeant?
I got a hunch. Let's go on back upstairs.
Okay.
See this blood along here, Don?
Yeah.
This is where he must have come up and down the hallway several times.
Yeah.
Check this room here. The pool of blood in front of it right here. There's a lot more here than there was down farther.
Let me say that again.
This isn't his room either. Wait a minute, let me check the door. It's open. Yeah. Let's go in.
Entering the room, I am slumped over on the bed. Everything is just covered with blood. There's a razor blade on the nightstand next to him. Is he alive, Sergeant?
Yeah, he's alive. This is apparently before the fight started. I'll wake him up in a minute. Let's look around a minute first. We had a pretty good fight. It blood all over the wall, splattered on the wall and the windows. A pool of blood down here.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the same information. This is the guy.
Yeah, I know.
37, this is the room?
There's a razor in the glass here. Get up, mister. We're police officers. Get up, we want to talk to you. What was the fight all about?
Don't have any.
You don't have any what?
Fight.
What's the blood on the floor? What's the razor doing in the glass over here with blood on it? There's the blood on the walls over here and on the sheet there. There's the blood on your arms. You want to tell us about it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm a police officer, yes. That's a police officer there with a uniform on, too. What was the fight all about? You don't know. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Well, I haven't done nothing.
Officer Bernard and Sergeant Perkins are now putting the handcuffs on the suspect.
Quiet. You're under arrest. Take him in the station, will you? And book him.
I don't get it. Could be the motive for a deal like that, Sergeant.
I don't know, Don. I think when those fellows sober up tomorrow morning, they won't know either.
Yeah.
You have been listening to an actual case of your police force in action on The Night Watch. This investigation was recorded as it happened. And now, back to police headquarters and Chief W.N. Hildebrand.
In the case tonight of the suspect attempting to pass bad checks, he was subsequently booked for violation of 476A Penal Code, the maximum penalty of which is not more than 14 years in the state's prison. Once again, we have the case of an alert citizen following through with his suspicions and passing this information on to the police department. Without this cooperation, the suspect might still be at large and defrauding innocent people such as yourself. The final case tonight, involving a man who was cut with a razor blade, both he and his assailant were booked for disturbing the peace. No assault complaint was filed because both men had been drinking and the victim refused to press charges. However, both he and his assailant were booked for disturbing the peace. The maximum penalty for this is $100 fine and 90 days in the city jail. Tonight's quick action on the part of our officers prevented further injury and also possibly saved the victim's life when a tourniquet was applied to stop the flow of blood from the wounds. My department is cooperating to bring you the facts as they actually happen on the night watch so that you may hear for yourself the part you can play in making your police department an effective law enforcement office. If we accomplish only a portion of this, then our efforts shall be well rewarded in bringing you the night watch.
Thank you, Chief Hildebrand. You have just heard on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Night Watch, brought to you through the cooperation of your police department of Culver City, California, is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hedlock, with technical advice by Sergeant Ron Perkins, and is described in the field by police recorder Don.
It's just a couple of minutes after 6 p.m., and we're just leaving the police station to start the night watch. Sergeant Perkins has stopped over here in the hall to talk with a little boy that evidently is lost. Let's check it out.
You want you to walk home from here?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you lived down here?
We just moved a couple weeks ago.
That's a long ways out. Tell you what, supposing you come with us and we'll take you home.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you come in the police station for? Did he tell you to come in?
I didn't. My daddy said if I got lost to ask somebody where I lived and give him that note.
So you came on in here, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Okay, you come with us, we'll take you home.
Okay.
Did you look at this?
Out the door. By the way, my name is Don Reed, a police recorder. You're going to ride with Detective Unit 5-6 tonight. I'll get him back with him, okay, sir?
Yeah, okay, then.
As you ride with us, remember the people you hear are not actors. This is it. This is real. This is Night Watch.
5-6-1, reporting in service. Starting mileage 6752, 6752.
Control 1 to 5, 610-4, 6:21 p.m. KMA 394, starting Night Watch.
Night Watch, the actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors. There is no script. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. Night Watch, presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California, W.N. Hildebrand, Chief. We switch you now to car 5-6 on patrol and your police recorder, Don Reed.
We're nearing this young fellow's home now. A quick recap. The boy was left at the theater by his parents. They didn't pick him up. Blonde hair, about 8 years old. Wide-eyed. Riding in a police car.
All right, side?
Yeah.
Okay. 5-1 to 1 clear. Go ahead, man. 10-4.
That in here?
Yeah, but there's a little statue in the window. There's a statue in the windows. Oh, yeah, that's my house right there.
Which one? Right back there?
We kind of overshot the house. Backing up a bit. Here we are. Small duplex. Up the walk. Sergeant has the little fellow by the hand. Door's unlocked.
Nobody home?
No, they said that my dad was going into Los Angeles for some business.
What time are they going to be back, son, do you know?
No.
Your mother with him?
Yes.
You're all by yourself then now, aren't you?
Uh-huh.
Do you know any of these people next door or anything?
No, we just moved in 2 weeks ago. I haven't got...
You going to be all right here by yourself?
Yeah. Go upstairs and read some funny books for a while.
Well, we'll tell the people next door to kind of keep their eye on you, okay?
Okay.
All right, swell.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
8 years old. Unafraid.
Police officer, may I talk to you a minute?
Hello. I'm Sergeant Perkins from the Police Department. We just brought the little boy home next door. His folks are not home. I wonder if you could kind of keep an eye on him just a little bit till his folks get back.
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Yeah, he's all by himself over there.
I let him stay overnight.
Well, okay, they, apparently the folks have gone downtown to Los Angeles.
What, the dumpster or something?
No, he got out of the theater. I guess he got out a little bit early and came over to the police station.
Yeah, for the
Or something. Yeah, okay, thank you.
He's a cute little fella.
Yeah, but he took a little be out by himself. Have the juvenile bureau talk with his parents tomorrow.
Hello, 10-4, will do. Control 1 to cars 5-6 Unit 5-2 at orders 5 and 7. Will you assist Unit 5-0 at 2931 Evergreen on code 8? Help control traffic. Control 1 to 56 commit.
56, go ahead.
Control 1 to 56. Meet Unit 5-4 at 1311 Donovan. 1311 Donovan. Investigate a possible assault case. 5-6, your call. Code 2, KIBM 394.
56, roger.
Here in car 5-6, we're just cruising toward that code 8 or fire call. But at the moment, we're assigned to a possible assault case, so it looks like the fire will have to go by the boards as far as we're concerned. We've flicked on our red light, moving through the traffic a little bit faster right now. And off on the right, just a few blocks up ahead, I can actually see the fire that the other units are rolling on. It's in our direction, so we'll go fairly close. In fact, I can see the flames pouring up right now, and the entire area has been turned into daylight. It was more apparent as we were getting into the area. And looking over my shoulder, additional fire trucks are pulling up and are coming in directly behind us. I can hear their sirens, so we'll just stand by. We've pulled over the curb to allow a big pumper truck to roll past us. They're rolling code 3. That's up very nice design. Stand by. We're get back on our call again. Sadly, that big fire truck stopped right here in the block just ahead of us. We're passing them now, and the firemen are jumping off the truck, attaching hoses. Appears to be a house and garage, and it's completely engulfed in flames. It's right next to a lumber yard, so you can see that the boys really have their work cut out for them. Looking back over my shoulder, the flames are silhouetting the trees and the buildings. It's a very weird picture. When I was a kid, I used to chase fires all the time. Listening to that description, I had a feeling you'd rather go to the fire than an arc call.
You could be right.
There's 5-4 up ahead, swinging in behind one of our uniform cars.
And DeVoe. We'll all go in together. The only information, a possible assault has been committed. It's a duplex. It'd be the apartment upstairs. Doors open. Woman lying on the divan holding a towel over her face. Blood spattered. Uniformed officers will handle it. We'll stand by in case of trouble.
Drinking a little, not too much.
Well, what was the start? What started it?
Oh, there's nothing started. I mean, this isn't the first time. I think it's a mental case, I think. It didn't say
Husband coming into the room.
Yes, it is. I think it is. I got a black eye. You hit me first.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Up there it is.
How many times have you beat me up?
I ain't beat you up any.
It's not the idea of beating up who's beating up who.
That's right.
We're here mainly to keep peace.
Right. But it didn't even say for me to be around him, I'm telling you.
Well, what do you want, my money? Is that all you want?
No, I don't want your money. I just want you to treat me like I'm something. I don't want it.
Husband took out a roll of bills and threw it in her lap.
It's showing off. That's yours.
Insulted me enough now.
Well, it's up to you. As I said before, if you want him arrested.
I do, because I have been beat until I'm sick and tired of it.
We want to warn you that, however...
I do. I took this as long as I can take it.
Let the officer...
You won't see me...
Hey, let the officer finish what he's talking about, please.
It's up to you. But when you appear, it'd be your word against his. I mean, we have no say in the matter whatsoever. I mean, it's strictly on your say-so. We'll assist you in placing him under arrest. But you will sign the complaint.
Well, how about this?
will go over to the apartment and let him get his clothes. And just so I get in the apartment and get the doors locked. That's all I ask.
You know you love me, you know I love you.
I know I do. I love you too much.
Well, all right, it's 2 ways we're married on.
The point is that there's no reason for the police to be in something like
That's
this.
right.
But I have took this so many times. It's all...
flower pot.
No, I did not. The flower pot is over.
Well, I got a black eye to prove it. I don't know what you hit me with. You hit me with
think I
something.
get a busted nose?
We're not going to stand up here and argue back and forth.
Yes, sir.
You've got a radio card tied up. You've got a detective unit tied up. We can be doing a lot more important things. You listen to me just a minute. I'm talking. Just keep quiet a minute while I talk.
It's my wife. Remember that.
I'm a police officer, and I happen to be in here like these officers are here investigating a complaint. Now, we're going to see that there's peace and there's quiet. And she doesn't
I'm trying to
have
tell you what the deal is. She's afraid she's going to get hurt. She ain't. There ain't no doubt about it. I mean, it's all right.
You just keep talking. You're going down the station. We'll talk about it down there. We're interested in that she doesn't have to live in any fear, bodily harm.
I do.
The same thing that you people, apparently you both love each other. You just said you did. Well,
She loves me, though, believe me.
Well,
Yeah, if I didn't, I wouldn't take it.
the only alternatives the officers have here is either to take you in and book you, or that you agree that nothing else will happen. It's up to you.
I agree.
Well, I've heard that too much.
And if anything else happens, you can call them and they'll put me under the
No.
jail. I wouldn't treat you that way this time unless you smack me.
Oh, yeah, you make it look good for yourself.
I'll make it look good for nobody.
Well, why don't you take a motel or a hotel room
That's what
tonight?
I'm going to do. I'm wrong about my thoughts.
And you've been wrong, and I'm getting good and tired. I've tried to live with you 7 whole months, and this is where...
Another officer just came upstairs. Let's see what it's all about.
Another fun every day.
One is calling Sergeant Warden Walter on that fire call in Evergreen. Turned out to be arson. They want you over at the station as soon as possible.
Okay. We got another call. You stand by.
Hey, come in, man. In front of these officers, no kidding.
Okay.
What's that? Bill, if you don't need us, we're going back to the station.
Well, where's your car?
Okay.
Well, the officers have got that one pretty well squared away. Right now we just got a call. So we'll have to hurry right on out.
56-1, go ahead.
Control 1 to 56. If you're clear, 1019 and contact Sergeant Ward regarding arson investigation.
56-10-4.
1019 means return to the station.
You are listening to Night Watch and following the activities of a detective unit on its tour of duty. The people and sounds you are hearing are real, and the investigations are recorded in the field as they actually occur. We'll bring you the final results of tonight's action at the conclusion of Night Watch. We switch you now to police headquarters, where an arson investigation is in progress, and to police recorder Don Reed.
We've been back here to the station for about an hour and a half, and the arson investigation is in full swing. Briefly, this is the information we have to the moment. The fire that we saw earlier tonight turned out to be arson. Consequently, a young woman has been arrested and is now detained here at the station. Sergeant Perkins is across the hall here working on some reports connected with... Coming down the hall now. The suspect, escorted by Detective Walter. Let's go on into the Detective Bureau where she'll be questioned.
We'll have to ask you some questions about this thing that happened.
Well,
how long have you been married to your present husband?
Sitting at the desk, Detective Sergeant Ward.
You're legally married.
Here's the suspect. Young, early 20s. Long hair streaming down her back.
I see you were legally married and you divorced.
Arms bruised. One eye nearly swollen shut.
Now suppose you tell us what happened.
Hands trembling.
I don't know. I and my husband have been slapping me around.
Now what time did that happen?
Early. Took me by the hair and drug me into the house and told me he was going to get even with me, so I knew I had to get out, so I guess I just got mad.
Is that when you set the fire, when you got mad, you mean? Was your husband in the house when you set the fire?
No.
He had left.
Mm-hmm.
Did, when he pulled you by the hair and pulled you into the house, did he strike you with his fist?
No, he just threw me down on the floor.
Just threw you down on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did this struggle take? How long was he there at the house?
Just a minute, and he left.
Just a few minutes. In other words, he pulled you in and
he
shouted
said he
at
would be back, that's all, and he just left.
He said he'd be back?
Yes.
Is that when you set the fire?
No. First, I didn't know where I was going to go because I knew when he came back that he'd be drinking a lot and he'd probably really beat up on me. As soon as I finished dressing the baby and I had warmed her a bottle, when I was all ready so that I could take her right out, I just walked in and set the fire in the house, and then I left.
Where did you set the fire in the house?
In the closet in the bedroom.
What did you use to start the fire?
Just the paper. I always keep the newspapers. After we read them, I just keep them stacked in there.
You just lit a match to them?
Yes, that's right.
Did you pour any gasoline or anything like that in there?
No, nothing.
Were there any clothes hanging in the closet?
Yes.
Now, after you had set the fire, where did you go from there?
I went to the railroad tracks. I was waiting for the bus and it didn't come, so I walked across the street and asked the service station fellow how long it would take it. He said anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. I walked back over and I seen the squad car go by. So I walked up the street to the restaurant and I went in there.
Mm-hmm.
I asked for a bottle of beer there and I sat there, and the minute I got in, everybody started running out saying there was a fire then. Then I came back out and went back up to where the house was.
Now, when the people ran out and when they heard the fire trucks and so on and so forth, did you walk back to the house again?
Yes.
And were you at the house when the police arrested you there?
Yes. They didn't arrest me. They just brought me down here because I told them I didn't do it until we got here.
Uh-huh.
And they started thinking my husband did it, so I told them I did it.
What happened to your eye? Do you have a shiner there?
Mm-hmm. He hit me.
That your husband hit you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you hurt any place else besides the eye?
Just bruises.
Uh-huh. How about the furniture in the house? Is that your furniture, or did you rent the place furniture?
It was our furniture, but what was in there was nothing. We didn't have no living room set. We didn't have nothing. In fact, he hated the place. He wasn't going to stay there. The doctor told me if I didn't get the baby out, that place would kill her.
Uh-huh. Have you ever set any fires before?
Yes.
When was that?
I was probably 14, 15.
What brought about that? How'd that happen?
Just the house we lived in.
Didn't like the house?
No.
Have you ever been arrested for anything?
No.
Never been arrested? Not even for drunk or anything like that?
No.
You smoke?
Yes.
And a cigarette? Now, you feel that the reason you set the fire was so that you could get the baby out of the house, or because you were mad at your husband?
It just seemed like he kicked me around and hurt me so much I had to do something to hurt him back.
In other words, you feel that you set the fire in order to hurt him, in order to more or less retaliate for what he had done to you earlier in the evening.
Not just in the evening. I wish it had only been that long. It's been this way for months now. Always smack me around, and I'm not big enough to fight him back.
Why, after your divorce, why did you go back there?
I've always loved him. He treated me real good. We got along real good until he started hanging around with his mother and father and then drinking like a fish. Till liquor came to our house, we got along perfect, and he knows it.
Do you still love him? Do you feel now that you're still in love with your husband?
Yes.
In other words, he's a good husband when he's not drinking.
He's perfect when he's not drinking.
Is he an alcoholic? Is he chronic? Is he
I'll
drunk?
put it this way. Saturday he drank a quart of whiskey. To me, a quart of whiskey was a lot of whiskey. The next day he drank a quart of whiskey. The next day he drank a quart of whiskey. And all the time there was no money coming for nothing else. And he quits drinking. He's fine. He'll do anything for his kid. He loves her.
Mm-hmm.
The baby comes first, but then when he gets drinking, he don't care about nobody.
Mm-hmm.
He can't go and get custody of the baby now while I have to stay here.
I don't think so. How about your mother and father? Does your father work?
Yes.
And your mother and father live together?
Yes.
Will she take care of the baby for you?
Yes.
Well, that'll probably be what they'll do, is let your mother have the baby to take care of it.
Don't you set up a bail for me or nothing?
Yeah, tomorrow. I can't think of anything else.
How much is my bail going to be, could I ask?
Probably be around $1,000, I imagine.
So what does that come when they go to a bail bond?
Probably
about 100.
Yeah, runs around 10%. You want to call now?
I would like to.
Okay, why don't you take her in the desk officer's office and make a phone call, or upstairs in Holy's office, either one. Okay, we'll see you again.
The suspect is slowly leaving the room. Let's go over next door to Sergeant Perkins' office, see if there's any new developments in the case. Hi, Perk. Anything new?
No, it's pretty much open and shut case.
What about the husband?
Nothing we can do. She won't sign a complaint. Unless she's changed her mind and it was bored.
No, she says she still loves him. Which reminds me, there's something missing out of this thing. I'd like to talk with her.
Go ahead. I got the finished report here anyway.
That okay?
Yeah.
Good deal.
See you later.
Right. Here she is, sitting in the detention room prior to being returned to the cell, standing against the bars, staring into space, cigarette burning in her hand. Do you feel like talking to me for a few moments?
Yes.
Just as an observer during your interrogation, there are a couple of things I've been wondering about. I noticed you told the sergeant you'd started fires as a youngster. Why?
When I was young, my folks always drank, and my father used to always beat on me. We lived in a real bad dump, and he always promised to get us out of it. He was going to always take us away. But he didn't, so I decided one day I'd burn the house down so that we could move out of it anyway. But I didn't start big enough fire to hurt the house.
Why'd you use fire?
The only thing I thought of.
Did you derive any pleasure by lighting fires?
No.
What did you think when you went back to your home and found it burning?
It was already burnt completely. Everything was gone when I got back. First thing I thought about was I actually hadn't hurt him, I'd hurt the baby.
Yeah. How long have you lived with your husband?
Well, I've only been with him now going on 3 years. We were married 9 years ago, and we had a little girl, and my husband wouldn't take care of her either. And then she died, and he wouldn't pay her funeral bill, wouldn't come to the funeral. He didn't even send her a flower.
I noticed that you said you still loved your husband. Well, to be honest, I don't understand that kind of love.
I'll be truthful with you. I don't even understand the kind I've got. It destroys me. It makes me do things that I want to do.
What does he make you do?
It's just like every time he beats me up, I just want to go out and do something to destroy him. I've even thought about killing him when the gun was in the house. Last night, I was going to shoot him the minute he walked in the door. I hated him for always leaving me alone. No man's worth a beating. I don't care who they are. Once they beat you, they're just not worth it. They're not worth staying around. They're not worth trying to make a home for them. I loaded the gun once.
Had he come back tonight, do you think you would have killed him?
I don't know. No. I'm going to have to pay for it now anyway. It wasn't my house I burnt down. It was somebody else's house I burnt down. And my landlord always treated me nice. Actually, I did him dirty. My husband didn't get nothing out of it. He beats me as he walks around the street free. And I'm the one that wound up paying for all of it.
What you have just heard is real. Recorded as it happened on the Night Watch. For the disposition of this case, we return you to police headquarters and Chief W.N. Hildebrand.
Tonight's first case is the type of police work that is seldom realized by the average citizen. The family dispute was settled when the wife refused to sign a complaint against her husband, so the event was entered into the records as advised, no further action necessary. The final investigation of the arson case resulted in the arrest and subsequent trial of the young woman suspect charged with arson, which is a violation of the Penal Code, Section 447A, and carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in the state penitentiary. As an added note, the young woman suspect declined to sign a complaint against her husband, which left us powerless to take any action against him. In the past 20 years, we as a nation have made great strides toward maintaining our national security both internally and externally. Night Watch is part of that pattern. These events are real. The problems encountered by the officers are real. If we succeed in alerting the nation of this real work being done by your law enforcement agencies and tighten the cooperation between the citizen, then we have the reason for presenting Night Watch.
Thank you, Chief Hildebrand. You have just heard on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Night Watch, brought to you through the cooperation of your police department of Culver City, California, is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hadlock, with technical advice by Sergeant Ron Perkins, and is described in the field by police recorder Don Reed.
Well, I don't know where I'd go. I've got some friends, but they're screwed all over.
Well, see, that's the situation. We have no facilities to care for you here, so you have to go back over there.
This is police headquarters.
And she told me if you don't stay home, I'll kill you, and that's what I don't want to hear. But I tell you this.
And this is Don Reed, a police recorder.
I don't know what I'll...
Right now, you're in the interrogation room. Sitting here, an elderly woman that's lost. Doesn't want to go home.
Down here to the station.
You're going to follow the activities of Sergeant Perkins and his partner, Officer Paul Good, in Detective Unit 5-6 tonight. And while you're with us, remember, the people you meet are not actors. This is it. This is real. This is Night Watch.
My daughter's there now. She's scared to death of her. And when I go to bed at night, I sit up. That's what I do. She says, why don't you go to bed and stop sitting up? Oh, I says, I'm just getting rested.
How old is your sister now? How old is your sister?
She's 2 years younger than I am, and I'll be 80 pretty soon, but I guess it's 79. 78, but I don't know exactly. I'll have to figure it up someday. But I don't feel old. I can do a lot of work. So, but she's always so kind of tired.
Well, we certainly hope you can patch up your differences.
What?
We certainly hope you can patch up your differences.
Well, but I don't want to go there alone. I want one of you to come in and stay.
We'll go there with you. We'll make sure that you get there.
You want to go now?
Well, it seems she isn't lost after all. So, let's take her home and get this thing squared away.
Night Watch, the actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors. There is no script. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur.
Night Watch, presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California, W.N. Hildebrand, Chief. And now we switch you to Detective Unit 5-6, already on assignment in the field, and to Police Recorder Don Reed.
You want to handle this, Paul? I'm going to see if I can contact Sergeant Ward and see if he wants an assist on that robbery suspect.
Arriving now at the elderly woman's home. Apparently her sister waiting on the porch for us.
You want to wait in the car, ma'am, while the officers talk to your sister? 5601. You contact Sergeant Ward and see if he wants an assist.
Up the walk, informing the sister that we have the lost young lady in the car.
Say, do you have a sister?
We've been riding around here.
She contacted the beat officer over here in the center. And seems she was having some trouble, or you two had a misunderstanding, is that it?
I tell you, she lived here with me. We've been here 3 years, and she just went haywire, her mind, the last 10 days.
I see.
So I watched her pretty close all day, and she
Yeah.
didn't get away from me, but she has got away from me before, and I found her.
I see. She doesn't want to come back. That's the whole
Well, that's
trouble.
it. She's been trying to get away from here.
Yes.
See? And we've had her to the doctor the middle of the week, and we had a doctor call. So we're just waiting for the doctor's report and plans, my daughters and I, to see what we're going to do with her.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we take her to a home or have someone come here and look after her,
Yeah.
because I can't.
I understand.
What does she say if the reason she was waiting? She's not going to hear me.
Oh, she blamed you too and told her to get out and all kinds of...
Oh, my Lord. Here, I'm just breaking my neck. She tells me that she's going to kill her. Show her, and I don't know what all. You know, they do that, have hallucinations.
Well,
Tells that to everybody she meets.
the sooner she'd put in a...
Well, we're to the doctor Wednesday. And
Officer Paul Good motioning out to the car to bring the young lady in. Let's go ahead and give her a hand.
Watch your step, man.
There we go.
We had her in jail. No.
Bad girl. How come? Well, how come? You run away, that's why. Well, I have to get out. Where's that car?
We're just going to relax.
Well, here's all these policemen. They're going around here.
Yeah. Okay?
Yes, it's all right.
Fine.
Well, you can sit down if you want.
Well, that's all. We can't stay there all.
Did you decide to come home to sleep? Sleep? Uh-huh. Well, I didn't know whether I would sleep or not. Why? Well, the case is closed for the time being. It'll probably reopen again.
Well, we certainly hope things straighten themselves out here because...
And she thinks you're the end for policeman. That leather.
Yeah, that's good leather.
He's a nice policeman, don't you think he looks nice?
Yes.
And I said, no, you're
Don't give him any more trouble. They got other things to do, you know, something more important.
Oh, that's all right. She gets lost. We'll come and find her again. You be good now. We'll see ya.
Yes.
We'll stay here.
When you come again.
Oh, we'll try and get by in the next couple of days.
Back to our radio unit.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
5-1 on traffic accident in Washington. 5-6, come in.
5-6, go ahead.
Control 1 to 5-6. We have just contacted Sergeant Ward. They have the robbery suspect in custody and are en route to the station. If you are clear, will you meet them there?
5-6, Roger. We're clear. And into the station.
1 to 5-6, 10-4.
Well, we got our young lady home again. What's the deal on this robbery suspect, Perk?
You remember the two liquor stores that were held up last Friday night on Washington Boulevard?
Yeah.
Ward got a tip earlier today, and he and Walter have been staking out. Finally picked up the suspect and taken him into the station now for questioning.
That's funny. You know, last week we took the report from the two victims. You know, how he stuck a gun in their ribs and all that. Sure be interesting to see how tough he is now that he hasn't got that gun.
Partner Waller. First time radio.
All right, let's see.
What kind of car?
The suspect.
38.
Charged. Armed robbery. Tall. Sallow complexion.
Didn't make any noise or anything like that.
Dressed in Levi's.
Had a witness over there that heard a car in the alley with a bad muffler, and we thought that was you rascals.
No.
You guys have been busy with bird dog.
Yeah, I'm too busy.
When did you get out of the deal in Texas?
June 28th.
You haven't been out very long.
No, for not 90 days yet.
Well, I tell you what, we wanted to get the deal in Culver City straightened out, or the two deals in Culver City. Or maybe three deals. You don't know that.
Well, boy pulled me up in the alley. I got out of the car, and I walked down the alley. First, I didn't walk up the alley. Behind the place, right behind it, directly across the alley, was a light on a window. And I didn't know for sure if someone was up. Or where someone was just left their light on or not. I didn't see a car parked there, so I figured, well, I'll check that window first to make sure. So I walked to the window, the curtain was down, and it looked all right. See, I couldn't see anyone looking out the window. Mm-hmm. So I looked up and down that back alley, and I didn't see anyone in the alley. So I walked to this little alleyway there, the little thing that goes up to the storeroom door. I think it was a storeroom. I'm pretty sure it was, because there was all kinds of different assortments of whiskey and stuff stacked in there. And I had to step lightly, to keep from stumbling over some of the stuff. I didn't want to disturb the man in there, because I figured if you did hear me, well, I think I'd never get there. And he was sitting with his back to me. I think maybe he was reading. And I told him that when he turned around, not to move, I wasn't going to hurt him. All I wanted to do was open the cash register. He opened the cash register, and he started handing the money out. And I told him to go lay down, and he did. And I put the rest of the money in my pocket, come back out the same way. I told him to lay down until I got out of the store. That's all there was to it.
How much money did you get out of that job?
Well, I couldn't tell you the exact figures, but I figure, just an estimate right now, about around 165, something like that.
Well, that must have been just about one of your top jobs, then.
That was about it, I might have.
Now, this other job in Culver City is down on Washington Boulevard, where both you and your buddy went in.
Oh, yeah.
And the fellow in the store was...
Two people in there.
Two people in there. Yeah, you remember that deal?
I remember that.
Now, what happened on that deal?
Well, sitting on the corner, isn't it? Right on the corner. I believe there's a stop, not a stop light, but a stop sign on the cross street going across this main boulevard. Mm-hmm. We pulled on the main street that the liquor store is on. We come down it and made a left on the side street right by the liquor store and pulled around to the left and stopped. And, we both got out of the car, left the car running. Went in the liquor store. The oldest fellow was in the front. The younger fellow was in the back in the storeroom. And I told the older fellow to stand behind the counter, and not move.
Did you see the younger fellow in the storeroom?
Yes, I just kept walking after I told the older fellow, stand behind the counter and not move. Then I walked straight on through, because the other boy was right behind me, see. He walked right over with the old fellow and told him to open the cash register. And I just kept walking right straight on through behind the counter, back to the younger fellow and told him to lay down. And he did. He laid down back there by the, the boxes that were stacked up. And as soon as the other boy told me that he had the money, why, I told the older fellow to come back there too. And he came back, come right by him, and I told him to lay down by the bar. And that was all it was. No bad words used, no threats, nothing. They laid down without any trouble.
Did your buddy have a gun on that deal?
No, sir. We never had but one, sir.
Just one gun?
Yes, sir. We went in there because there was two of them, and,
You knew there was two?
Yes, so we saw them, see. We saw one working from the back and the one standing in front, the older fellow.
But did you case that job at all?
No.
Just for maybe just 2 or 3 minutes that we sat there, you know, and figured out where they were in there, you know. As far as looking the place over the vicinity, no, sir. In fact, if I'd ever been there before, I didn't know it.
How do you feel about the fact that you had spent time in prison for robbery? How does it happen that you would go back into that particular line of work, shall we say?
Well, not having any money, for one thing, and not being able to get a job, you could say that. Of course, that's not enough excuse for a man to do something like that, and I realize that, too. I know that there's always a way if you try hard enough, I guess, but I was a little disgusted, and I was having a few other difficulties, too, at the time. Maybe I'm a little nutty to go with it. I don't know. A man must be to do those kind of things, so I'm reason I can go for it.
You're married?
Yes, sir.
Was that gun loaded on all the jobs that you pulled? How many jobs do you figure you and your partner pulled altogether?
Well, best we can remember, about 10, I think. 8 or 10, something like that. We could have missed one. I'm not sure, you know. But anything I've done, I won't straighten it now. I don't want to have to straighten it up some other time.
How's your wife feel about it?
She's hurt, naturally. There's nothing you can say to a person when it's like that. Not right. What could you say, you know? Anything you say is phony. 27 years old, and I've been locked up since I was 17. Something like that. Exceptions a few months.
How many terms did you do in the state pen in Texas?
2, really.
See, here they just go by your adult priors. And that would just be 1. In Texas, they send them to the state pen pretty young.
That's 17. Well, you know, you hear this every day, probably, from everybody that you pick up, you know. I know you do. I've heard it in jailhouses all my life. You know, I've learned my lesson. This is it, and I don't ever intend to do this no more and all that. But I got a feeling I have had. I wouldn't sit down and say this or that for sure, but I really believe that, there's something about this place I like, you know. I'd really like to be free here. And I believe if I get out and if I get a break and get the right thing, and people have been nice to me as I have already, I don't say I can keep them doing right. I mean, I really believe that. Of course, I'll just talk now. A man has to prove himself, and I know that. I know you pay always to a certain extent or something like this, and I realize that, too. I know you've got to try to get help. If you don't want help, then no one will give you.
That's right. Well, if you show that you're willing to accept help and try to do what's right, chances are you'll get a very good break.
Well, we hope you come out of it all right anyway, Phil.
Thanks so much. Let's cooperate.
I was right, Bert.
What's that?
This guy isn't very tough without a gun.
Sergeant Perkins? Yeah.
Sergeant Dirk has a trouble call with 2319 Benton. He said you've had the case down there 2 or 3 times before, and he wants to know if you'll meet him.
Okay, I'll radio him. We'll be there in a few minutes.
What's up?
Got a trouble call. Let's go.
Okay.
You are listening to Night Watch and following the activities of Detective Unit 5-6 on its tour of duty. Remember, the people and sounds you are hearing are real, and the investigations are recorded in the field as they actually occur. We'll bring you the final results of tonight's action at the conclusion of Night Watch. It's not very likely that you'd choose a crowded subway or bus as the place to figure out your income tax. All the elements needed for thoughtful concentration are lacking. It's quite possible, however, that your child is trying to learn arithmetic under conditions just as adverse, in an overcrowded classroom with an overworked teacher. To make sure he doesn't battle such impossible odds in the vital business of learning the 3 R's, join with other parents in your community to see to it that your school is well equipped, well staffed, and big enough for its big job. And now we switch you back to Detective Unit 5-6, somewhere in the field, and police recorder Don Reed.
Arriving on the scene at this trouble call is the uniformed car parked out in front. Sergeant Dirks talking to a woman on the porch. His partner, Arch Cameron, coming over to talk to us.
What's up, Arch? Sergeant Dirks and I got a call down here. This man and his wife got in an argument. He hit her in the eye. Sergeant Dirks suggested we call you down here because you've handled this case before.
Yeah, I remember last time I was down here, she hit him over the head with a frying pan, and one hit the other with a beer bottle.
They've both been drinking.
They won't sign a complaint, though. They haven't before. Let's go and see what we can do on this one.
Okay.
Wife standing on the porch, leaning on railing to keep from falling over. Just a kimono on, hair up in curlers, one eye swollen shut, gripping a frying pan.
Look what he did to me. So what am I supposed to do now?
Where is he?
He's in there, and I'm afraid to go in. Where am I going to go?
He's going to go. He has a habit of jumping out windows.
This means a separation, you know.
Sergeant Dirks is helping her into the house.
Just take him for the night. I don't care what you do with him, but don't let him take the car keys. It's my car now.
Husband stretched out on the divan, smoking a big black cigar. Little puppy crowding under the chair.
That's what you did. You want to see? Look at this. I thought you didn't do that. I did it to myself.
What happened?
Husband flicking cigar ashes on the rug.
Well, what'd you do tonight? Just about that. No, go on, tell me. Well, we came home. Nothing happened.
Because I wouldn't come out and cook him dinner. I went to bed, on the bed, and he did this to me. Take him in, please.
In the light,
And give me a chance.
it's beginning to change color.
With you. I mean, this time, you're
wait a
going.
minute.
Yes, you're going. You are not going to break my face up anymore. Yeah. He put on a pretty act. I saw that. I ran in and got this.
That frying pan. Not a
You
little
struck your wife?
heavy iron.
What happened? How did you get that bruise? Nothing.
You're a dirty, rotten liar. You did it with your fist. I don't do this to myself.
The officer asked a question, and I said no.
You're lying, though.
I'm not left-handed.
Not left-handed. That's what you said before when you blacked my eye. Please take him. Take him someplace.
Did you,
He did it. You know he did it. You know he did it. He did it. I wouldn't do this to myself. None of you.
In your condition, you could fall and do that yourself anytime. You've been drinking as much as he did.
This is the third time around with this couple. Both are too intoxicated to sign a complaint.
You know that he hit me with...
Did you see that happen?
She got mad at me, and there was nothing happened, and I was sitting in the chair, and when she took off out the door and said she was going to call the officers and me put in...
What do you mean call the officers? I didn't have anything on but a torn pair of pajamas when you hit me and I ran out. I finally came back and I peeked through the window and I saw you sitting here in the window and got the robe and this.
Well, I'll talk to the officers when you...
And I called the next door neighbor. Ask her if you don't believe it. You're lying.
If the officers have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
He's lying.
Yeah, how did she get that bruise on her cheek?
That I wouldn't... No.
Did you have a scuffle?
No.
You had an argument?
No scuffle,
Nothing.
no argument.
He just came in on the bed and
I don't want to
me in the eye just like he did. Like,
I got over those.
tell the truth. And you came in and hit me with your fist because I wouldn't get up and cook. I told you I wasn't going to. And you hit me with your fist.
Sorry, I'm not left-handed.
Oh, don't pull that stuff again. My face is hurting. You hit me. I don't care if you're married to me. Get out.
He just got out of jail now, 2 weeks ago. He's been in there a month and a half. 45 days. He just got out. But he doesn't have to beat me up, because he's honoring the world. I'm just afraid to stay here with him. That's all. I'm awfully afraid. Make him feel someplace.
Do you have anybody you can stay with tonight? By going away on a bus or a taxi?
I've got a little puppy dog in here that he kicked.
Get your coat down. Well, I advise you, too, that I don't see you back here tonight.
No, that's perfectly all right with me.
I'll tell you something.
He'll come back and beat me up. You watch.
You're in no position to file a complaint against anybody. You're not sober enough to know what's right and what's wrong. You've been drinking too much to stand up and argue with your wife. And I'll tell you something else. If we get many more complaints and
come back to the other side.
like you're mistreating your wife, we're going to file on you for a felony wife beating.
Just take him out for tonight, that's all. I've got a little puppy dog that he kicked tonight with his feet.
You can't get along, you better get separated.
Fuji, come on.
And tonight I would advise you to go ahead and put on
Maybe he killed him.
a place to spend the night.
But he kicked him with his shoe. His big shoe,
Kicked the dog?
Kicked the dog.
Don't forget, I've gone to court with you, too. If he comes back, you...
Wait a minute, before he goes, make him leave me some money here. Let me a dime. What do you leave me? $2? You give me some money. He's got $40. Your bill's full. That's right. Leave me the 10. You only need 3 to get a room.
You want the bill full, too?
He'll come back and try to beat me up.
You just lock all the doors and windows.
For what?
Officers assisting husband to the uniform car.
If it's okay with Sergeant Dirks, why don't you drop him off at a motel?
Okay, Burke, will do. History repeats itself.
Yeah. Remember the last time we took him to a motel?
Yeah. She didn't remember they had an argument and accused him of staying out all night.
What you have just heard is real. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. For their disposition, we return you to Police Headquarters and Chief W.N. Hildebrand.
The first case of the elderly woman that was lost, other than returning her home, no other police action was necessary. The second investigation, in which the suspect was arrested and questioned regarding his part in a holdup, resulted in his confession in court, where he was found guilty. The penalty for armed robbery is 5 years to life in the state prison. The final case of the husband and wife involved in a fight left the officers with no choice than to separate the pair. The case was entered into the records as advised. Earlier this week, a mother brought her teenage son into our juvenile bureau, where he volunteered the information that certain boys at his school had purchased several marijuana cigarettes from a suspect that drove up each afternoon. Now, this young teenager told the officers he had little knowledge of this narcotic, but he had followed 2 narcotics investigations while listening to Night Watch. From that information, he had learned briefly what the 2 narcotics looked like, how it is usually obtained from a pusher, and he learned the danger of using this drug. Armed with this information, our officers immediately moved in for the arrest. If we can reach just a few, especially teenagers, then we have a reason for Night Watch.
Thank you, Chief Hildebrand. You have been following the on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Night Watch, brought to you through the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California, is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hedlock, with technical advice by Sergeant Ron Perkins and described in the field by police recorder Don Reed.
Car 58, OK7. Car 50 takes this call. Jefferson and Lincoln traffic accident. Ambulance follow-up. Code 3, 6:03 p.m.
56 to Control 1, reporting in service. Starting mileage 9835, 9835.
1 to 56, mileage 9835, 6:04 p.m. Unit 56 reporting in service on the night watch.
This is Don Reed, a police recorder. Right now you're riding in Detective Unit 56, and that was Sergeant Ron Perkins just reporting us in service on the night watch. While you're with us tonight, remember, I'm recording this as it happens. And the people you meet are not actors. You see, this is it. This is real. This is Night Watch. Night Watch. The actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors. There is no script. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. Night Watch, presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California. W.N. Hildebrand, Chief. We switch you now to Detective Unit 56, somewhere in the field, and to Police Recorder Don Reed.
53 clear. KMA 394.
56 to 1, we're at Overland and Washington Place. We've got a 214 here in front of the bar. Would you send a uniform unit down here, code 2?
1 to 56, 10-4. Car 50 at Overland and Washington Place. 214 in the street. Meet Detective Unit 56, code 2.
Well, we have a 214 fight going just across the street in front of a bar.
52 to Control 1. We're right on top of this 214 call. You want us to take it? Control 1 to 52, 10-4. Car 50 cancel. 52 will handle.
Things are moving very fast. We're right in the middle of the highway waiting for a break in the traffic. Now we got it, swinging around. Have a clear shot here now, heading back. That uniform car that just radioed in is pulling up to the curb. We're swinging in behind. Here's the quick picture. 2 men, 2 women pushing each other around. Things are getting a little rough right here. The uniformed officer, Al Arnold, and his partner waiting into the argument. Wearing plain clothes. Psychologically, it's best for the uniform boys to handle. We'll stand by just in case things get out of hand.
You won't.
I will.
You know you won't.
I will. I won't take that from
Please
anybody.
don't. Now, come on, now. You'll be over tomorrow, please.
Just hold everything, will you? What's trouble?
He just called me Scum.
No.
He said I was more than a snake.
Yeah.
I have worked in this bar for 5 years.
Well, that's what hurts your pride. See?
And I have never...
coming back. Don't worry about it. Look, you know what you're mad at?
And he got me fired from working.
You didn't get fired, I'll bet you.
I'll send a complaint, okay?
No. You know you'll be working here next week.
Well, then I'll send a complaint just because I won't put up with him.
You've had more insults than these guys ever gave you.
Not
Never.
Whoa, break this up. We're not going to have the argument on the file. Which one of you called her the name?
Well, you've been drinking, you know that.
I have not.
I bet you have. I'll take a sobriety test against you anytime.
All right.
Wait a minute.
Because I thought
Why get her mad, dog?
Don't get anybody mad.
You caught me a drink in your life, and you know it.
What's the difference?
Well, then why make a statement?
May I ask you a question? What have you got to do with the argument?
Well, funny. It's my buddy.
Well, that don't enter a thing. The argument's between the young lady and this fella. Now, I just advise you to keep out of it. Now, take some advice. And you too, fella.
Will you please keep
We'll try to settle this without a rough fight.
Get him over here.
Ask the policeman here what I said. Well, I'm not asking the policeman. I'm asking you.
Well, yeah, I said a bad name. I apologize.
Did you apologize to her?
Yes, I did.
And then what did you walk up to the bar and say to me?
About what?
You said that I was lower than Scum.
After what you said to me, did I not apologize to you? I mean, you tell the truth, I'll tell the truth.
I did.
Did I apologize to you before you said it to me? I'm sorry. I apologize to you. I'm sorry for it. I'm still sorry for it. I didn't mean to say it.
That's sorry. All together, she walked out here and we...
She just mad tonight. Control 1 is calling us on the radio. Let's get over to our car. But just glancing back, the uniformed officers have settled this little discussion. The man is heading north and the woman south. That takes care of that.
5-6, we were out of the car. Go ahead.
1 to 5-6, are you clear?
5-6, Roger.
Control 1 to 5-6. Unit 5-3 has been dispatched to 2931 Ingersoll Place to see the woman about a possible assault. This is near your present location. Will you follow up?
5-6 to 1, Roger. You might tell 5-3 we'll be there in a couple of minutes.
1 to 5-3, Detective Unit 5-6 rolling.
Well, this seems to be our night for assaults. Thinking of that woman heading south, be interesting to know what she called that fellow. On second thought, maybe we better skip it. When we get through this next signal, skip over a couple of side streets, we'll be there. Apparently there isn't a rush on this call, or Control 1 would have given us a code. That is something like Code 2, roll with your red light, or Code 3, hit that siren. Anyway, apparently there's not too much rush, but it should be right up here about the next block. Can't be too far ahead. In fact, here comes our uniform car from the opposite direction. See, there's spotlights searching out the numbers along the street. Apparently is up here just a couple hundred yards. That's Unit 5-3 up there that's stopped. And we're going to pull right in front of them. Here we are. The crew, officers Good and Cameron, are going to investigate the trouble. It's a small bungalow, middle-aged man and woman waiting for us. Man holding his face. Now, let's see what the reason for this is.
So he come in the store. We were watching television. He knocked at the door, and my husband opened the door, and his wife came in, and they'd both been drinking. And my husband, he said something about, why do you pick on my wife every time she's in the yard? And then he did, he up and slapped my husband across the mouth.
Well, let me explain it.
I did. Right here.
You asked us all this.
I absolutely did.
Well, here's the way it was.
And then I said, that's what it was. There's no more trouble with you, and I got fixed.
They both come in here, and he was arguing, and I said, well, why do you pick on my wife all the time? Why don't you come and tell me, you see? And you put his hands right across the face here, and he knocked any teeth. And he just likes to do it.
But, you know, it's not that.
For no reason. I don't know why. I said, why don't you pick on her? Every time she was out here, he picked on her, you know what I mean? Do you want to sign a complaint against this person, sir? Oh.
Yes, sign it and have on file up there. And the next time
you
come
well, here's the situation. It's not a matter of being on file. It's a matter of if you sign a complaint against him, he'll be served with a warrant and put in jail.
If there's some way we can have him know to let us, he's even come over here one time drunk, him and her, and they call me dirty names.
Well, I'll tell you, we can advise the person on the seriousness of it, of the assault. And chances are he'll never try this again. But if you want to sign a complaint against this person, you can sign it in the district attorney's office, and chances are the warrant will be served, and this man will be put in jail and tried.
Well, when can you tell him?
Talk to him right away if you want it that way. Yes, ma'am.
If you don't want to press charges, then we'll just make a verbal advisory on this now.
That's right. I want him to know that if you don't leave me alone, I am going to take action. I told him that, but he don't seem to heed it.
Well, we'll have to talk. For no reason he had over this back me.
Well, okay, now you're in a position now where you can go up, sign a complaint against him for assault.
We don't want no trouble. You understand? We live here. We stay in our own place. We keep our dogs.
That's why I told him.
Other people
don't bother you. Why do you bother us?
He's in the back there.
If anything else like this ever happens, I want you to give us a call. And
we will. I intend to do
it. We'll let him know now that it's a serious matter. Okay, you got it.
Victim doesn't wish to sign a complaint, so we'll just advise the other couple. Two very large
Great Dane dogs blocking the door. I've seen ponies smaller than these fellows. Well, here are the two participants in the quarrel. Man and wife, both middle-aged, 50s, heavy set, each armed with a bottle of beer. The woman struggling with one dog. The other is in the process of boiling the over. So the woman and one officer is wrestling one of the dogs, a big fellow. The other is trying very playfully to remove my coat sleeve with my arm in it. Complex. Every man for himself. Trying to get him in the bedroom. Well, now let's see what it's all about.
Is your husband the gentleman that trusts your neighbor next door?
No, that I know of.
Here's the situation. We got a call down here on Salt. You want to come back here, sir? We're talking to you. We go over next door here and hit this man across the face with the back of your hand.
I did not.
I know it's the store.
No.
These people are ready to sign a complaint against them if you start staying in your own yard and doing nothing alone. Understand?
I understand.
You're not supposed to go into someone else's house, especially when you've been drinking, and go up and smack a guy across the face. That's a good way to end up.
Are you accusing me of that, sir?
I'm telling you what the gentleman next door told us. He happens to have a witness to the fact that it happened.
His wife. We were in the house, yes.
What happened tonight?
Well, my husband rang the doorbell. And I came behind. And he came out, and then she said, well, she said, come on, let's go get the truck.
I'll make the next call.
Wait just a minute.
We'll make the next call.
Listen.
No, honey.
These officers just went next door and talked to that side and heard their side of the story. They want to hear your side of the story here.
Perhaps I was wrong.
You did hit him, though. You did hit him with the back.
I did not.
Well, so you might as well tell us because they're not pressing charges on you at this time. They're going to be very fair about it. So you have no reason to lie to us in any way because we're not going to harm you.
Is you pushing?
We just want to keep the peace.
Well, that's what I want to do is keep the peace.
Where have you been drinking tonight, sir?
There?
In my home. I never drink any place but my home.
What did you lay a hand on him?
I did not lay hands.
No, he's not there.
Why would they call the police?
Ask the person that is trying to cause trouble.
Now, these officers came down here and interested in keeping the peace, keeping people quiet.
Yes.
If they have a return call down here, then they're going to do something about it.
Well, why can't I turn around and make a call and call you gentlemen down here under the same circumstances?
Present time you're drunk and intoxicated.
I'm in my home.
Doesn't make any difference. You're creating a disturbance.
Yes, sir.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
That you can go to jail, despite the fact you're in your own home.
Yes, sir.
If these officers come down here and return call, somebody's going to jail.
And is there any time that I cannot call them? At 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'll call. And will you give them the same courtesy that you're giving me?
If you have a legitimate reason to call the police will answer the call.
The words that goes on.
Sir, you think because they gave you a break, you might give them a break and stay away from there?
When did they give me a break?
They give you the break, they're not signing a complaint on this time for a second.
I guess as soon as they sign a complaint with me, because if they want to dig me, I'll dig them.
Well, you're in no position to do anything at the present time. You're intoxicated. They don't want to sign a complaint. The only thing they want is to be left alone over there. Same respect you people want to be left alone.
Not Daddy.
So you think that you can stay here and keep quiet, and they'll stay over there and keep quiet. Okay?
I will not promise that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We come down here again, somebody's going to jail.
Chances are it'll be you, sir, because you're the intoxicated one. I'll take a chance on that.
No.
You're controlling them?
No. Listen, I've been married to him for 23 years.
Just keep it quiet here, and they'll keep it quiet, then nobody be happy.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
Bye.
Heading back now to our radio unit. Situation is pretty well cleared up.
Well, they were sure a couple of big dogs, weren't they?
Yeah. The first time I ever wrestled one that outweighed me.
5-6 to Control 1. Clear on the assault call. Advised. 5-3 has a report.
Control 1 to 5-6, roger. 5-6, will you meet the captain's unit 5-0 at 3601 Barbara? They have a burglary suspect in custody. Request you contact them at once.
5-6, roger. We're rolling.
You are listening to Night Watch and following the activities of a detective unit on its tour of duty. Remember, the people and sounds you are hearing are real, and the investigations are recorded in the field as they actually occur. We'll bring you the final results of tonight's action at the conclusion of Night Watch. Can you spare $10 to help feed a family of 4 for a month? If you can, send it to CARE, together with your name and address, and that of some needy relative or friend in Europe or Israel, India, Pakistan, Japan, Okinawa, or the Philippines. CARE will do the rest and guarantees delivery. The address is simply CARE. CARE, New York. CARE is the sure, economical way to send food and clothing abroad. And now we switch you to Detective Unit 5-6, somewhere in the field, and your police recorder, Don Reed.
Moving into the location where one of our units has a burglary suspect in custody. Here's the picture. Uniform car parked at curb. Suspect in the back. Arms behind him. Apparently handcuffed.
Got him in custody in here. Okay, well, they're going to take him out?
Suspect for a few minutes. He admits breaking into the building all right, but says he just wanted to use the phone.
You want to take him home from funeral or what? No? Have him take him on in, and we'll talk to him when we get down the station.
Suspect is not a juvenile. Moving into the house. Man and wife, victims waiting for us. Captain Lugo checking over a report of the uniformed officer.
Can you tell us what happened?
Well, all we know is when we came to the door, it was bolted, you see. We couldn't do the lock. And then we heard someone in here, and we could hear him moving in here. Well, he was trying to get this thing down.
Trying to get out of the building.
Getting out of the building.
I told her, there's somebody in here.
And then we could hear him.
Was he trying to get out of the window when you came in? Was that?
I don't know. He said that he was. The window was open when we came back.
Was he by the window trying to get out?
Well, the window was open. We had closed it since.
Well,
and he took this down.
You didn't leave it open yourself.
No.
In other words,
No.
he did this himself. Well, the way it stands now, he's been taken to the police station. He's going to be booked for suspicion of burglary, and the investigation will reveal whatever it may. So it'll just have to take its course. Okay?
Fine. Just whatever.
Over next to the windows.
Take these along. Take a burglar tools.
Sergeant Perkins gathering up a bunch of tools used by the suspect to pry open the window. Hammer, screwdriver, crowbar.
Give it a quick one.
Yeah, Captain wants to check out the address.
Yeah, we'll look.
Perk? Yeah. The suspect's name and address.
Oh, good. Let's go over and shake his house.
Okay, I'm with you.
You are? Then you won't mind help carry these tools.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, this isn't in my contract.
5-6 to 1 on this 459 call. We're going over to check out the suspect's house. We hold him in the detention room, and we'll talk to him as soon as we get to the station.
156-10-4. We'll advise the booking sergeant. KMA 394. Arriving now at the home of the burglary suspect. Lives on the second floor. It's a modest apartment building. Number 2. This one here on the left-hand side.
Hello. We're from the police department. I think we have your son in jail. Can we come in and talk to you a minute, please?
We're explaining to you.
Mother motioning us in.
We caught him in a building tonight up in Culver City. And we wanted to come down here for permission, kind of look things over, see if he has anything that he shouldn't have.
You mean on his phone?
Yes, ma'am. Please sit down if you want, ma'am.
I'll be all right. Very shocking to me.
Certainly. He tells us that he was trying to make a long-distance telephone call to his sister. In this particular case, and he's committed a felony so he could make a telephone call, if his story is.
Well, I have a daughter in New York, of course.
We'd just like to look around if we may. We'd like to have you with us just to see if there's anything here that...
I don't think there is. It isn't come over.
We'd like to look at his bedroom more than anything else. I find the situation a little bit right next door to us. They've had a number of thefts of automobiles. Well, if there's any automobile parts or anything like that, that's...
Into the suspect's bedroom.
This is the only bag that he has. I wouldn't feel my boy for a minute if he wrong about anything.
Well, we're just...
I'm very much shocked about it. Here's, pardon me.
Sure.
This is his clothes here.
Just the usual assortment. Pretty much routine.
Have your son ever been in any trouble at all?
No, he hasn't. Never. He never has.
Would he, do you suppose you have any particular reason for going into this building to make a phone call instead of maybe making it a pay phone? Or
I couldn't tell you that. I can't understand why he would do a thing like that. I really can't tell you. He might have been trying to get in touch with my girl.
Is there any, your boys are real pretty truthful and...
He always has been.
How old is he?
He's 25.
25. Thank you very much, ma'am. We're going back to the station and talk to your son. Good night.
In front of me is a two-way mirror looking into the interrogation room. Sergeant Perkins is on the phone, running a record check. Suspect is sitting at the desk, nervously trying to light a cigarette. Nice-looking young fellow, crew cut, horn-rimmed glasses. Now let's move on into the office.
That's about all we'll need. Thanks very much. Okay, good night. All right, now let's have the straight story. What were you doing in that building?
I wanted to call back to New York to speak to my sister. Just as I was starting to use the phone, they drove up, and I got nervous and locked the door because I knew I wasn't supposed to be in there.
Did you have permission to go into the building?
No, I didn't.
What were you going to do, make a long-distance call on their phone?
Yes, I was.
Charge it to them?
No, I wasn't.
Well, how were you going to pay for it?
I'd give them the money.
When? In the morning?
No, when I got paid.
Well, do you have an emergency call to make to
No, I just wanted to speak to my sister.
You have a phone at your house?
I have a phone at my apartment. They didn't implant at his apartment. But she doesn't like people to be using it for long-distance telephone calls.
You had no business in that building, other than
I know I didn't. I know, I'll admit that.
Were you going to go out the window?
I was trying to. See if I could go.
Do you realize what you've done tonight?
Yes, I
committed
know.
a felony just to make a telephone call?
I know I did.
Taking a chance of getting shot?
Yes, I know. It's awful stupid, maybe I did.
Brought disgrace upon your folks?
I know it.
You put now on a charge of burglary. You know they don't enter any of a building without the owner's permission. Do you know what the penalty of burglary calls for?
No, sir, I don't.
In Section 459 of the Penal Code, two types of burglary: burglary in the first degree and in the second degree. First degree is committed by a person armed with a deadly weapon which you were not armed with. And all other types of burglaries are considered as second degree. Burglary in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the county jail not exceeding 1 year, or in the state prison for not less than 1 or more than 15 years. So you stand by making foolish phone call, you stand to
make 15 minutes, I guess.
A long time for a phone call.
What you have just heard is real, recorded as it actually happened on The Night Watch. And now back to police headquarters and Chief W.N. Hildebrand.
As you followed our officers on the tour of Night Watch tonight, you can see the diversified problems that come up in police work. In the first case, for example, two families quarreling was settled by merely advising that a reoccurrence of tonight's events could result in the subjects being arrested. The second investigation, the couple arguing on the street, likewise received a similar warning. In the final case of the suspect trapped in the building, he was booked on suspicion of burglary, which carries a sentence of not less than 5 years in the state prison. However, there were extenuating circumstances which the arresting officers included in their report and which the court took into consideration. The suspect was given a suspended sentence and placed on a 2-year probation. We are recording our investigations as they happen on the Night Watch to show you a police investigation may turn up the evidence to prove a person guilty, or by the same token may clear a suspect of any complicity with a crime. As a peace officer for 29 years, I've come to one conclusion. Police work is much more enjoyable when you help the innocent than when you prosecute the guilty. I hope in a small way this will help you understand our problems as you ride each week on the Night Watch.
Thank you, Chief Hildebrand. You have been following the on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Night Watch, brought to you through the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California, is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hedlock, with technical advice by Sergeant Ron Perkins, and is described in the field by Police Recorder Don